Eyes up, Guardian.
Live.
Okay. Thank you for waiting until that little bit for mics are live. Just in case. Hi, Doom. Let's see here. So you have, do you need the link again for it? Nope, everyone's in the show notes. Cool. I'm using the mod view mode to look at chat. It's kind of fun. Have you played with it at all?
I have not. Get in there.
What
is it?
Really, it's actually quite a bit nicer when you are running as a mod in somebody's chat, because I can see not only the people who are in there watching, like I can get all the users' names.
That's cool.
And if somebody like spams something or needs to be banned very quickly, I can just click on their name.
Is it different than the dashboard? I'm assuming.
It is slightly different. Like Black Flag is in here, and if I wanted to time out Black Flag, I could Black Flag and timeout.
Black Flag is lurking.
He may be actually still in Cold Stream mostly.
Found out, sir.
Muffins Guild, Utenzelzink, and Black Flag. Anyway.
I don't see anything. I'm on the dashboard though, so that might be why.
Yeah, I'll clip it real quick and show you a picture.
No, I think because I'm on the dashboard, it's already. I don't see any. That's interesting.
Here, I send you a picture. It is quite fun, actually. And it's come in handy whenever I've been modding for Cole. There you go.
Oh god, bright mode.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm so used to dark mode on all my stuff.
I know.
Whenever someone sends me that, I'm like, my eyes!
Like, why? I'm always like, why is your phone? Oh wait, you don't know what dark mode is.
That's like whenever Bife shares his Twitter settings, it's like, why?
Everything else I have is in dark mode. I think I have to switch it over to dark mode every time I open mod mode, though. It doesn't save my settings.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. That's because that's not... Huh.
So there are things in there, like Cole has, you can redeem the little stream
points
currency.
Yeah. I don't think I've set that up for us yet.
So you could, when you redeem them, you see there at the very bottom right, it says review request queue. I can open that up and see all the things that people have requested of Cole, and I can push for her to do it again, and then I can resolve it so she doesn't have to. So it actually spends the currency.
Oh, that's cool. So it like resolve. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I haven't messed with that. I know I set ours up to be like the glimmer or whatever, and I'm like, I don't, whatever. I'm curious though because like, all right, so this is chat settings. Is it a different URL?
Yes, it is twitch.tv/moderator/ our channel.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I'm in the stream manager. Okay.
Hi, Black Flag.
Hi, Flag.
We were talking about you a bit ago.
We saw you lurking.
Oh, this is so cool.
Oh, Sims. Oh, Sims. Oh, Sims. Why is it? I know two people. I know two types of people who play Sims. People who actively play it in order to live out like storied fantasies that they want to, and then people who actively play it to just find new and creative ways to build weird things.
Oh, see,
don't forget about. Yeah, I was about to say, don't forget the people who do torture people.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Cole said she accidentally killed, because she was playing Sims the other day, she accidentally killed her male character who was cooking toast in the toaster,
And the toaster caught on fire.
Right. And for some reason there were no doors. I don't know why.
What?
Yeah, sometimes the like AI for the character will just glitch out and be like, I need to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, you're literally in the bathroom, go. And then I don't know, they'll just do weird things. Oh, of course of course that's what's going on in Coldstream.
Yep,
acceptable excuse.
Acceptable.
She was talking about all sorts of things earlier. She's convinced she's going to do a calendar, and I'm just shaking my head
calendar,
because
there's a lot of different ways that statement can be taken.
I was there for the calendar talk. I know exactly which one she's talking about.
The recent one or the first one? Because there's been 2 talks about it at this point.
I wasn't in the recent one because I think that just happened, but the first one.
So the first one, she wants to do a cosplay calendar of her as Lady Shax, me as Lady Drifter, Wicked as Dredge and Yor, Raz as Lady Osiris, and I'm sitting here going, this is going to be made a thing because
says, oh, sorry, I'm babbling. Keep talking.
No, you're good. You're good. The thing is she has to go partner for it to happen, and the night that happened, she had 69 subs. Ironically.
Yeah, I helped get her there. That was fun. I think me and Flag kept going back and forth. He took my #1 spot away from me. I'm not mad.
That's fine. The discussion that was had tonight in Coldstream was she was talking about doing just a Lady Shax version of it and recreating the scene that she drew with Beard's ghost. Do you remember this, Blue?
What? No, sorry.
You're still dabbling.
I think I found how to recreate the mod layout in the manager layout. So
very nice. So she was talking about recreating the scene that she drew with Beard and Beard's ghost, which she played Beard's ghost in one of Beard's videos. And the scene was basically where the ghost was kind of up in between the cheeks and slightly vibrating, apparently. And she wants to recreate it as Lady Shax. And I'm like, you have got some strange ass kinks, lady. I don't know what you're doing. I don't get it.
But
I love it.
Here's the thing, it's one of those things, yes, it's strange, but at the same time, that's going to be one of the most popular things if she ever actually recreates it. It just works.
Yeah, because she's not afraid to go weird. It's fine. It's fine.
I don't know, I think that's part of the reason why I just enjoy her streams so much. It's just, we don't care. We're here to have fun.
Yep, that is accurate.
We're here to have fun, eat peeps, and talk about stuff that probably doesn't connect at all to what we're doing.
Not at all. Absolutely not. Blue, are you through with kind of playing around? Did you break it?
I totally
Blue's
broke it.
breaking things.
Blue's
breaking things. God damn it.
It's totally not. I'm like, this is not what I wanted you to do. Why are you doing this?
Oh my goodness.
No, that's not what I want. Go.
Hi, chat.
Hi, chat.
How
are you tonight?
I see new users in the chat this evening.
Ooh, new users.
Ooh.
Oh, that's where I wanted.
Hi, Orchid. Hi, Wicked. Black Flag.
I told a couple people that I was doing this. That I don't know how many are actually going to be here. I know for certain one texted me that he probably wasn't going to be able to catch the live stream. But
I gotcha.
So the only thing that it doesn't do in the manager, which is really weird, is that it doesn't show the users.
That is weird.
Wait,
that's actually the most helpful thing.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm like, that's the most helpful part. Why are you not... This is stupid.
So chat, Blue just discovered mod mode, mainly because I showed him a picture of mod mode for me on his stream, and he's trying very much so to recreate it in his management, his stream management screen.
Like,
As
I
you
can see the number of viewers, but I can't see... Like, it's weird that the mod has more information about the users in chat than the manager does. That's really stupid.
Mode is fun.
Whatever. Okay, fine. I'm used to the manager thing. Alright. Oh, Orchid has the smoky ship.
Orchid has the smoky ship? Are you in game?
Yeah. We're gonna go do Silent Banner.
Are you on Xbox?
Yes.
Why am I not seeing you online?
I'm only on Xbox.
We've only been doing this for a few years. It's fine.
Are you on Xbox? No.
The list has not.
I'm on
God damn it! Stop.
I'm on the Stadia. Don't you understand?
That would be fucking hilarious if you were on Stadia. I don't know. I know one person who has Stadia.
I cannot read your gamer tag at all.
Yeah, because that's the marble gamer tag that you got for completing Guardian games.
Oh. Okay.
I'll change it. I change it. There. Better?
It just cracked me up. It came on. I was like, who is... Oh, that must be green because I can't read anything.
Orchid?
Yeah, the smoky... The smoky ships.
I don't understand.
I don't know what it is. It's the Taken ship? I assume that's what that is?
Yeah, it looks like it. Like the remake of it. It's the old ship from...
I didn't know I'm on the Wii U. 1,000 weeks. That's what it is.
I'm on PSP, don't you know?
PSP would be amazing.
It's
honestly, if they could somehow port Destiny 2 over to Switch, I would probably just... my hours would explode.
Yeah. Carry it around everywhere.
It really would.
Okay, so can we start recording, Blue?
Yes.
Before we load into a match?
Yes. I am good to go.
Alright, so we'll do a typical countdown. We'll do a 3, 2, 1, then click to start the recording. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, click.
Cool.
And the recording just goes the entire time while we're streaming this, so it's going to be a rather large file.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then, is it Cam? Is that what you prefer?
Cameron, dead again, whatever you want.
Okay,
I'll respond to it.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure.
Hey, you.
Hey, you. That's exactly.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Or as we're referring to him, hey, you.
Hey,
that one.
I mean, my clan leader called me Hellum because of the way that my name appears in Discord for, I think, 3 months. And thought I couldn't spell Helm.
I mean, that's...
And then someone else had to say it.
Thought you couldn't spell Helm. That's amazing. That is definitely up there with the Grenade Music Lover.
Oh my gosh.
Grenade Musket Lover, that's what it was.
Musket Lover. Freaking Gathalion. Has no idea.
Okay. Alright. Let me get the backup started, yeah.
Cool.
Alright. Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on May 15th, 2020, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This week's episodes are going to be focused around exploring the current state of the Vanguard. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the intro session of the week's exploration. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And this is your I swear I'm not playing Warlock full-time, guys. Other host, Green-Eyed Music Lover.
The floofy floof.
I have been floofy floofing.
The graceful glide into abyss.
I have not fallen off the maps yet.
No!
Not yet. I've been good.
I can't, like, it's for whatever reason, if I switch over between the two, I can't get the jump down again.
Yeah. It takes a little bit of time. I can't switch back and forth in the same evening yet because that just hurts my head a little bit.
Yeah.
But if I start the evening on a Warlock, I can manage to play the Warlock the rest of the evening. But if I start on Hunter and switch midway, it's just really rough.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, and last but definitely not least, in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend, Hey, I'm Dead Again, or as we'll be referring to them, Cam. Cam, how are you doing tonight or today?
I'm good. I mean, I don't know what time is anymore. It's on full distortion on me, so
yeah.
I'm good.
So I was talking to, I think Josh was asking when the Let's Chat episode's going to be dropping that we recorded the other week. And I was like, oh, it'll be like a couple weeks. And he's like, time has no meaning anymore. What date? What's the number of the day? I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
I need the date.
So I'm gonna turn it over to Green though for her normal interrogation.
Interrogation? You make me sound so mean sometimes.
What is your favorite story in lore?
What is your favorite story in lore from Destiny?
I mean, we all have the good standby.
God, kudos to him. He just rolled with it.
We have the good standby of Dwindler's Ridge. I really love all the Ahamkara Great Hunters. Like, those are probably my favorite cards. Because there's just something so magical about playing poker with, a giant space dragon as an old man.
The grandfather.
Yes, as the grandfather, and then he just eats you. Which will come in handy later.
The best part about that was he had the little visor cap. If I wasn't that the one that gets the little green visor.
Or Caliban was wearing a visor.
Oh,
Someone
was
right. Wearing a visor.
One of them. Oh my god!
It was so great. But just that entire series of cards was just so funny. Shaxx demanding to fight a dragon, with a sword or his battle axe. I don't remember which, but it was and I think was it Lady Ephrodite who was like, "Why don't you have a gun?" And he's like, "You don't want to be a knight?"
I just love Wei Ning, who just wants to punch things forever.
Yes,
you've been wishing this.
You've been wishing for this. just that entire series of cards is so funny. But yeah, no, anything with that, either that or really anything with the Hive. The Hive are probably my favorite, lore-wise.
The Hive has got some really, really long lore, which is nice. It's a lot thicker, I think, than a lot of other races or classes that we have at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's always good. You actually kind of mentioned that you had a standby one as well, though. Is that the Great Hunt just kind of your primary one where you're like, oh, I love the Ahamkara kind of thing, wish dragon for life kind of?
Yeah, because it's such a cool concept for a species to exist, and I don't necessarily know if I buy into the whole Riven's the last one, at least in our universe, or it was the last one, because I'm like, well, they can shapeshift, so
sure.
And they consume reality, how do we know?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna turn into good old Eva or whatnot.
Yeah. It just there's so many different memes of Eva being 40 different things.
Right? I love it.
Leave my cookie grandma who gives me machine guns alone.
I may have just continually contributed to this.
That statement alone makes me concerned.
What? You don't like cookie grandma who gives you machine guns?
Cookie grandma that gives you machine guns.
Have you not seen that picture? It's like, hi, I am Cookie Grandma. I give you cookies and machine guns.
I have not seen this.
I need to find it.
That's awesome. So, okay, backing up a little bit, since Blue technically jumped ahead of the question queue, where can we find you on the internets?
I am on Twitter. I don't tweet a lot, mostly just because I don't think people want to hear about my life, but that's just me. But I'm on Twitter. You are welcome to find me on there at Hey I'm Dead Again. Pretty much everywhere else I'm just Hey I'm Dead Again or some variant form on it. I think on Steam I'm just Dead Again, but here on Twitter, in Twitch chat, wherever.
Which, by the way, I do love your name. It's just one of those names that it's just like, hey, I'm dead again. It just, gosh, it's just funny.
It's great to see it pop up in the kill feed because it's just it's a nice little oh, I'm dead again. And that's honestly why I made it. I made it because I'm the resident bullet sponge, is what I like to say of my primary fire team. I'm the person who's like, I'm gonna go find the biggest, baddest ogre and punch it, and it's probably gonna kill me, but I'm gonna do it.
I like it. I like it. So, what was it that actually got you into studying lore? Because you call yourself an amateur lore person on Twitter, even though I know a little bit better that you actually know a bit more of what you're talking about than you let on.
I got into lore through a couple different games, mainly the Bloodborne and Dark Souls series.
Okay.
And that sort of like that's transitioned over into other games. Destiny's lore has always been fascinating for me because there's just like so many entry levels that you can get into because you can like just play through the story and there's, that lore level right there. But if you want to get into some of the side characters or some of the weapons that tell you some stories about it, like it was so like it's more accessible at least now because all your lore entries are in game, whereas in Destiny 1 you had to go to a different website. But I don't know. I think one of my friends sent me like a timeline of everything that's happened in Destiny, and I didn't realize that like it didn't just start with like I think I made an assumption that it would just start with the game, and it didn't. It started like eons ago with the creation of the proto hive on Fundaments Moons, and I was just so fascinated just reading through that I was like, I need more. And it's been 3 years since then, so here we are.
I like it because that was one of the things I actually started talking to Julie about it recently, where we got into the lore a little bit more thoroughly. She's always kind of been around whenever I've been rambling about it, but there's never been a true understanding per se.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been I've talked about these things on and on and on, and it's funny because she didn't realize how massive the lore is for a game like this. Blue was kind enough to send me physical copies of the lore, and it's bigger than Tolkien. Like if you put all the books of Tolkien back to back to back and stack them on top of each other, including all the expanded universe stuff, Silmarillion, the Hobbit, and all of that, it's still the Destiny lore is way thicker, and that blew her mind that there's that much going on here.
Yeah, it's really funny. I told you off stream. I work with kids in an after school program, and I got the lore books from the Bungie store. And I was just, we were having like silent reading time and I was reading and I had like two kids come up and they're like, "Oh, what is this?" And I was showing it to them and they're like, "Oh, so this is like the story of the game." I was like, "No, no, no. This is like a side story of a side story of like three other side stories of a alien species because it was the hive one that you meet." And then we get to the game. And they're like, "So how big is the story of the game?" And I said, "I will let you know when it finishes, if it does finish. It's been a while."
That's true. That's true. There's a lot of background stuff that just a lot of people don't know about. So here's a question that I've actually been curious because I don't think I actually know the answer to it. I've seen you cheer on other classes, but what class do you primarily play in game?
I am a hunter. I was a day one hunter in Destiny 1. And I mean I have all three classes, but my main is my hunter. Has seen me through many a trials and tribulations in this game. But I think it's hunter, although a close second is unfortunately a titan, just because it's so much fun to punch things. But yeah, hunter.
I can agree on the punching things. Titan was definitely a fun class to play. I just haven't touched it in a while. It's been a bit. It's been a bit, guys.
In a bit.
But, yes. All right. So here's a crazy question. If you could change any aspect of the game, of the lore, any aspect of the lore in game, what one thing would you change? And if you changed that one thing, would it break some other stories because of it? Or would you want to break the other stories?
Oh, that's good. What did I change? I got to think about what I'd change first because I'm sure it would break something. Everything's so interconnected. I've seen a couple different things of people trying to connect all the stories in Destiny, and it ends up looking like a really drunk spider web.
Yep.
And I think if I could change one thing, I would. I think the only thing I would change is I just want some stories to be resolved more.
Okay.
I love a good cliffhanger, but there are a couple threads that I still want to know. Like I want to know about the stranger because she was featured so heavily in the first vanilla story, and we have nothing since. But yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, I don't know if I really would change anything. The lore is kind of one of those things that I hold very dear in this game. It's really been something that I enjoy digging into a lot. So I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I may have another answer.
Oh, I like it though. Is there one thing that if you could write, I guess would be another way to word this. If you could write it for any story, what story would you want to write for, or who would you want to write for?
Oh, I would love like more tales from the Drifter. Because his
Okay.
whole story about going to like the other planets and watching all of his other light-bearing friends die, like I want more of that. That would be a lot of fun.
Hmm.
I mean, I would pay great money to see like just more about the Vanguard and
Hmm.
particularly Cade. Cade's whole different iterations to get him to Cade 6 would be fun, I think that'd be a lot of fun to go through, just him as the kindergarten waking up the first time and then dealing with that. Um,
I like
yeah,
it.
I could do that. I would do Cade, I think.
Cade's story would be a fun one to get kind of more like the background story of what's actually going on with him.
Because
I like it.
the whole Ace of Spades quest was a lot of fun going through all of his stories in that book.
Funny story about just his use of playing cards and the different types of playing cards. We went back into D1 the other day.
Hmm.
So, and Wicked is a veteran of D1, but Raz has never played it. So we were showing
Hmm.
Raz around and we did the Cade Stash mission.
Oh, okay.
And you remember that side room you could go into that has the different playing cards where there was
Yeah.
supposedly a bunch of loot there?
Hmm.
Wicked had no idea about it, so it's fun to go back sometimes and show other people
Yeah,
things that you
like
found back in the old stuff.
yeah, yeah. I did. I played D1 like at just right at like the end of April for the first time in like years, and was just hit with so much nostalgia of so much time running around. Like I just walked. I think I walked around the Cosmodrome for like 45 minutes, not doing anything, just looking at everything again.
It has been fun to kind of dive back in there a bit. I think the thing that's been interesting is going back in and looking at Siva stuff, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's just me.
Siva's fun. Siva's there's so many things in game world that are so interesting through Ahamkara and Siva and like the pacifistic light bearers who live at the edge of the galaxy. Like, what's going on with them in the pyramid ships? Are they okay? Do we hear
Hmm.
from them? There's so many things.
Absolutely. All right, Blue, I'm going to toss it back to you.
I don't have anything this week.
You don't have any special announcements? I I have
That's a
one if you don't.
loaded question because now I feel like I should have a special announcement and I'm
Abort.
forgetting something. Yeah.
So,
I'm
special
nervous.
announcement for everybody, as my co-host realizes what he forgot. I have started up a new Twitter account called Destiny Lore Bites that a lot of the cards that have been recorded for Focus Fire Chat have been condensed, because it's only 2 minutes and 20 seconds per that's allowed on Twitter, have been condensed down into small digestible bite sizes for you to enjoy on Twitter. So if you are a fan of the show and would like daily lore readings, go and follow Destiny Lore Bites. It's up. I do plan on recording more of the full books like I used to and putting them out through here through the podcast itself so you guys can enjoy it there. So that's the more related to FFC Blue thing that I think Blue may have forgotten about, but
Yes. I'm sorry.
he's
Those
okay.
are Those are so cool because it's nice to like I forgot the entire story of Alpha Loopy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last one that I listened to. And I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, I'm going back through and recording a bunch of things that are super, super old. The poetry is something that actually going to take a lot more time to record itself because the poetry for Alpha Lupi is gorgeous and deserves an actual performance rather than just me reading it like a grade school teacher would read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been good stuff. All right, so State of the Vanguard, Blue. Where
It's a
should we start?
broketed system.
It
Oh,
is
it's my favorite.
is your favorite? Why is it your
No, it's
favorite?
not. It's not my favorite. I was trying to describe it to my friend who does not play Destiny at all,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I just described it as it's like a bunch of. It's just like if you picture what High School Musical was like, where
Mm-hmm.
they're dancing in the lunchroom about sticking to the status quo. It's just imagine that, but they're in charge of a city,
Oh my
and no
gosh.
one likes each other. Because that's what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
It makes for great writing and great research, but I'm just like, how is this still functioning?
High school politics in the Destiny universe.
It really is.
See
It's
the
almost like
Vanguard.
it's a click.
I mean, if we're going to talk about kind of the history of it, we can go all the way back and just say that what we're experiencing with the Vanguard right now isn't exactly a new thing. It's
Nope.
actually fairly common.
Well,
Yeah.
and to be fair, I mean, to be fair, the entire, not just the Vanguard, but the actual consensus was born out of the strife that the new city was facing down with the faction wars. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like they were born out of the turmoil that, and I'm being very general here, but that humanity created for itself, because humans have a tendency not to be able to have anything nice because they like squabbling over things. It's like as soon as we get past the, oh, everyone's gonna die, it turns into well, that's my pile of rocks, and it's like, oh my god. And
Yeah.
it's like, but I mean, because if you look at the history of the city itself, it was very quickly after the city was formed that your faction wars broke out. And you know, the consensus was really formed by not just the Guardians. Actually, I kind of have the argument that the Vanguard was actually made to make sure that the Guardians didn't align with the factions as much as they were before the faction wars. Because if it's one thing that we didn't need on top of humans arguing, it's Guardians arguing, because the way Guardians argue kind of tends to level things. Like, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
what it's the comic with Saint and Osiris where they're having their conversation. It's like, yeah, you need to not have that type of argument with factions, because when you're talking between Guardians, that's one thing. Like, you know, if it's Crucible, that's one thing. But when you put the humans into a mix, or mortals into the mix, it becomes suddenly much more serious and much more deadly.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
it's a
know.
it's a
No, go
weird
for it. Go for it.
system.
It
It's
it
a weird
is,
system because it's like you
but it
have the
makes sense in
Vanguard,
its own
which
way, right?
yeah, well, and like you have the Vanguard, which is sort of like ruled by this triumvirate of three of the most powerful three sort of guardians at that time, and then you have the consensus, which is like sort of like I just kept drawing parallels to like ancient Rome, which I feel is
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of this was based off of, because you have all these inner factions of guardians and mortal groups all vying sort of for power, because I don't believe that you wouldn't have a consensus if there wasn't people who sought power. But then they all answered to the speaker at one time, which kind of gave it a more religious feel to it. So I was like, what? Is this a government agency? Is it a religious group? What is this?
Well, I think what it started out as was actually less religious in nature and more just out of necessity. Because if we go back into the way that the city was created, the city was designed as literally just a safe haven at the very, very beginning of it. It was just the safest place where everyone could gather, which was under the Traveler.
Mhm.
It wasn't until the Speaker actually made the deal with the Iron Lords, who were the warlords in the area, that the city itself started gaining some structure.
Yeah. And I mean, because it needed to rise out because of people getting caught in the crossfire of all the warlords constantly scrabbling for power, scrambling, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think the other thing is, I would say the way I kind of understood the history of it is that there was no one leader. If you look at the breakdown of it, it's the great factions, the three great factions, which currently are Dead Orbit, New Monarchy, and Future War Cult. At the time of its inception, I think, as far as we can tell with the current information, it was Dead Orbit, New Monarchy, and the Concordat. Which, we have multiple people have talked about that whole drama. But anyways, you have the three factions, which are only three of many factions. So they're the three, probably the more predominant, the more popular factions at the time. And then you had three members of the Guardians. And I think, in that case, you can make an argument that the reason that there is one of each class is because there were three classes, three classifications of Guardians, three, mindsets. It just makes it even. It's and each one of the Guardian types kind of has their own forte as far as specialization. The Titans will be more militaristic and defensive. Warlocks kind of focus, and you see this with the duties of the different mentors, but like the Warlocks were focused on researching and understanding what was needed, basically like military intelligence. And then the Hunters were responsible for, basically making sure that everything was. They were the scouts. They were the protectors of those outside of the city wall. Sometimes, all that. And then what you do is, if you sit back and you look at that, well, that's an even number. So if you're calling itself a consensus, which means that probably majority will rule. Well, what happens if there's a tie? And then that's when you have the Speaker come in, not as a leader necessarily, but as like, that a lot of times you'll see it as explained as like the thumb of the fist, like it's not necessarily the most strong. It's not the strongest finger, but it's a necessary finger because it helps break that tie. And I think that's how I've kind of always read the consensus, as it's this kind of self-contained. It is a governing body for sure, but it's a governing body that by very nature allows for the various chorus of voices within the city to have at least a chance for their voice to be heard. And we know that the factions can change, right? Because the consensus vote. This is also a topic of much fascination for me, because politics is a very interesting thing, especially in dystopian, fantasy worlds. It's very interesting to see how they're like, this is the evolution of how things happen. It's like, this kind of it's interesting to see how different people have their own take on what people would do. But I think like that has always been the way I've read it. And, with that political structure, it's very interesting to me right now, because if that is indeed the case, it is currently a political structure that is predominantly controlled by the mortals at this point.
Which,
because
that was something I always
lost anything.
That was something I was like always fascinated about, is like, technically speaking, the single most powerful arm would be the Vanguard, because they're paracausal demigods, and they are not the quote unquote ruling group. They're basically just sort of the if you want to be hardcore about it, the militaristic arm of it, or if you want to be more peacekeeping, it's the peacekeepers.
But the thing is with the Vanguard themselves weren't they just their own group? They didn't necessarily each have their own. Right, but with the consensus themselves, didn't their vote essentially just have the one vote for them? They just had multiple representatives within it.
I think originally that was the point of the Vanguard commander, was like, because then you would have the different voice. But I mean, I go back and forth because I don't recall fully if we've ever had an act. The only time we've seen them all vote is with the Concordat, which all of them voted, and then with Osiris, which again all of them voted individually, right? There wasn't a. So I mean, and we have. It feels like every time we get mention of the consensus, we find a new subset of rules, like with the whole thing with the Vanguard commander and Saint 14. Like the only reason Osiris became Saint 14 was because Osiris became Vanguard commander was because Saint 14 bypassed the decision of the consensus by stepping down and then basically putting Osiris as his replacement, which didn't, and it was called out in the web lore that decision did not require the approval of the consensus.
Yeah, and so they kind of like operate as like their own independent body.
Right.
And so like they decide their own politics, but they will sort of take their, I guess, lead, because I know in D1 a lot of strikes you got handed down from the speaker, and now it's, since we don't have a speaker, that mainly comes down from the war, from the Vanguard themselves, the leaders themselves.
Right, and I think the other thing too for that piece is like Zavala, and like it was definitely clear it was clarified a little bit more obviously in the Destiny 2 introduction, because predominantly I think it's always been this way, it just wasn't really stated in game, but like Zavala was always responsible for military decisions. Ikora was always the one who would be the researcher, and Cade was always the one who handed out bounties, but Zavala was always the one who handed out strikes. And like, you would have that because strikes are actually military operations, whereas bounties are those kind of one-off, cleaning up various things and all that. So it made, like, that distinction does make a lot of sense in my head, but I know that D2, they really did clarify that significantly more with the presentation of actually having, like, you go to Zavala for strikes, you go to Shaxx for Crucible, and when Cade was still around, you went to Cade for those random, I guess you could call them super bounties of different stuff. My biggest thing is, like, I wish we had something with like Ikora, and I think we used to have, like, every now and then we'd be able to do some stuff for Ikora.
Well, if you go back to the structure of D1, they basically walked us through the missions of various campaigns. Cade would walk you through as a hunter noob. He was your mentor. He would walk you through each step, and then Zavala walked you through a lot of aspects going into Dark Below, and Ikora had her own campaign that she helped walk you through. Like, they all shared the role of military leaders in that case, but now they've been kind of repurposed to more of what you're talking about, where Zavala is only the strike leader. He's, at least at this point that we know about within our interactions with him, besides cutscenes. But Ikora has gone to being so involved with her hidden that she actually has no involvement with us at all at this point.
Yeah, which is sad. And then the other thing that got called out with the web lore is the resources that the Vanguard commander has at their disposal is not just the Vanguard resources, it's also the city resources. So the OWL sector, the databases, like all the libraries and everything like that are apparently kept somewhat under a lock and key, because that's what when Saint gives Osiris the title of Vanguard commander, Osiris makes the comment, like, he's like, you're giving me access to all this information that is by nature not readily available to the average person. He's like, are you sure you want to do that? And that's when Saint responds with, well, I don't have anyone I feel like would be more responsible with it. But it was interesting to me because it also clarified that there are aspects of the city, or the factions, if you will, that are separate and independent from the Guardians. The Owl Sector is the Owl Sector is one of those things where it is separate from the Hidden, and in a lot of ways, actually, the Hidden are subservient to Owl Sector, because whenever you see the interaction there, the Owl Sector people are being supported by Hidden because they're Guardians. So they're able to
do. The Hidden are support groups out there running missions to help support other.
Correct. Yeah. But I mean, like the Guardians, it to me, Owl Sector has always kind of been an interest to me, because it's like it's the CIA basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
It's that intelligence network of the Last City, and it's because of the way that they interact. They have a official liaison with the Vanguard mentors, or with the Vanguard, and there's a really kind of fun relationship between the Vanguard liaison and the Vanguard researcher, Ikora. But it's just hilarious. That was the Owl Sector records were just really funny to read because of that. But like the whole thing is like it's like there's like this cross departmental cooperation, but when it comes down to push or shove, it does seem like there goes back to this whole thing of like within the city, you have on the Vanguard side, you have the Praxic Order, which is kind of like the Vanguard's or the Guardians equivalent of a police force or an Internal Affairs. They have the Owl Sector outside and doing all this research and all this stuff. So it's just, to me, that again, that political push and shove or push and pull of everything, to me, is really interesting. And you can see that with the Vanguard, especially with the removal of, one of the legs of the three-legged stool. That stool is kind of teeter-tottering around for right now. And I think, and I mean, and a lot of times I know it hasn't been called out in games specifically, but there are quite specific references within the lore. Ikora and Zavala have both mentioned, they don't even know if it's if the Vanguard is even necessary even more or any longer.
Yeah,
capacity.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to, when you have something that's like that powerful as the Vanguard, to for so long be not at its full capacity. And like lore wise, we watched sort of, we dealt primarily with Ikora after the death of Cade, but I kind of thought that like watching how Zavala dealt with things, you could clearly see how deeply they felt that loss between the two of them. And I kind of firmly believe that with the Vanguard being as unstable as it is, without that third leg to sort of stabilize the stool, I almost just kind of wonder if maybe they're leaving it like empty for so long because they're building up to this sort of infighting that may be happening.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be infighting, because as much as they might disagree on a very specific, like the situation, I think that they are still very close to one another. Like, they are actually, I would say that they are in agreement with each other as far as most things.
Sorry, I didn't mean infighting between the Vanguard. I sort of meant as like a power struggle between them and the consensus.
In the consensus. Okay, yeah, no,
just because
I totally see that. That's actually.
I mean, if you had the whole issue with the Concordant wanting to remove the speaker from power, you're telling me that there's not a single group in the consensus that has looked at has looked at Guardians and said they're fine now, but if they don't serve their usefulness, why are we keeping them around?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's interesting.
One of the things I did want to bring up is the fact that we have gone through so many Hunter Vanguards over the years. In comparison, because Blue mentioned the fact that Saint 14 was the Titan Vanguard, and then Zavala took over, and then with
the list is very stark in the differences.
Okay, right. See, here's what I don't understand. Osiris gets exiled because he's diving too deep into the Vex. But Saint gets to stay Vanguard as like the Titan Vanguard while he's off on his crusade against the Fallen.
Down. He stepped down.
He stepped down as commander, but was he?
No, he stepped down as. Oh, okay. He left entirely.
Okay.
Because that was one of the things. Yeah, that was one of the things. I think that was the reason why. Because I've made that comparison too, and like when I went back and read, I think it's Vanguard Commander is the web lore record, but basically he says that he's removed himself completely from the group. Well, not completely, but he's removed his title basically, and so because he won't be able to do both basically, and I think that largely was the reason why he was never air quote exiled, even though he MIA. Because he did the arguably responsible thing, whereas Osiris was like, I'm not going to fight you, but I'm also just not going to do, what you want me to.
I have bigger things to worry about.
With Osiris leaving, Osiris left he wasn't necessarily exiled.
Yeah, he was
causing him to leave. He
was
left,
a confluence of events.
Yeah, that was the last in the series.
Right. Osiris had his own drama. His was a soap opera.
It really was. I mean, he's just so sassy. He is just that strike where what is it? Is it the Garden World one where he complains that he's dealing with Vex in 45 different realities? Oh, yeah. He's like, I'll apologize later. I'm busy.
So we had 2 Titan Vanguards, and then 2 Warlock ones, because right after Osiris was Ikora.
Mm-hmm. Which that also cracks me up because that was what Osiris wanted, and the speaker reprimanded. Yeah, speaker reprimanded him for it. It's I just want there to be a small scene of Osiris being really, really.
I told you, I told you to do this, so now you kick me out and you do it anyways.
Just in my head, my head canon, it's that exasperated
why don't you people just listen the first time?
But yeah, oh gosh, Hunters. And you want to talk about the laundry list there?
Well, because the first was Tallulah.
Yep.
Who got eaten by an Ahamkara.
Right.
Is it confirmed that they knew it was an Ahamkara and they were intentionally playing, or they found out as the poker game went on?
Well, and I don't know if they found out but we do. I think Caliban knew what was going on because that was when she handed him her bow. That was when he was like, "No, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't leave
She's
me."
Like, "I'm out."
And she's like, "Yeah, you'll be fine." And it's like, oh man, which is why I put on there. I'm like, does that mean that Caliban was the Vanguard for a second?
Yeah,
that's kind of how I read that. I'm like, did she just?
But we have no other lore of him after that.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's just he's in that story and that's it. And then,
and then the way part of one of the strikes that we do.
No, it's Fire Team Caliban.
Caliban. Gotcha.
And that's the Savathun song strike. Mm-hmm. We are labeled as Fire Team Caliban, which I also found. I'm kind of curious as to I don't know if that was just it's a name, thing. Yeah. I mean, some of the fire team names that we get. What's the dog?
Baby dog.
Baby dog.
Baby dog. It took me 2 years to finally get that role of that voice. It took me 2 years of running that strike to finally get it. It's so good.
Audio. I was like, what did you just say? Oh,
because he's just reading from a script and then he realizes what he said. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Baby dog.
My god. So
gotta reset it.
So yeah. So then we had Tallulah, and then in my brain, I kind of like, is Caliban the next one? But then the next one after that we know is Aphrodite 4. That is from Peregrine Greaves, which I'm waiting for Rick to scream in chat for that one. And then after, I think it's Aphrodite, we have the Swift River.
Swift River. Yeah, Swift River. I can't pronounce the first name either. Swift River.
Who, the only reason I laugh with him is he's the one that it's called out just went missing. Like, they don't know if he's dead. He just disappeared.
He lost his dare. He stayed for like 3 months and said, "Nah, this ain't it. I'm out."
And then 2 years later, they had no choice but to pronounce him dead, so that they could then open the ranks back up, which is when we get Andal. And then Andal is ultimately killed by Tannix, which then gives us Cade. And then Cade is obviously killed by Uldren.
Yeah.
So
we have an
empty. Yeah, and then we have an empty seat. So the interesting thing too is there's actually idle dialogue from Cade in D1 that gives a indication that the Hunter so first off, the Hunter Vanguard is it's such a rotating door, because by their very nature, hunters are kind of outcasts. They're very much loners. They don't really do the whole, like, Titans are very militaristic.
They don't team up and compete in the Guardians game event.
Oh gosh.
I'm so mad at them. I'm so mad. I don't want to get into it either.
They'll team up in fire teams when it's necessary, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, as soon as the job's done, they're back on, their own path. And whereas like warlocks will have like their libraries, their research, the collaborative research that the warlocks do. The Titans have the military, the defensive, the walls, all that. The hunters don't really have that. So they've always had that struggle of getting that hunter to be a Vanguard mentor, because all the hunters are like, why would we need that? That's stupid. I'm on the fence, to be honest, because I can't really argue against it, but there is
I don't know if I would want to do it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't. But there is a line that Cade mentions when we have when we're in D1, when he's standing around the table. He mentions that he only has a year left, and then he can go back. So it does seem that there is a precedent of, if you survive, which I think this might point to Caliban, I think, because of all the known ones. If you survive, there is a threshold after they're like, okay, you've been a good boy for a year, or whatever, 4 years. Your indentured servitude is like you're free to go.
Your military service. You can go.
Your conscription is done.
Here's the deed to the land. Go be a good citizen.
That's the carrot on the stick.
It really is. And like, because so the dare is how the Hunter Vanguard is sort of chosen, because we know that Cade and Andal dared each other to whoever killed Tannix first would win. The loser would have to be the Vanguard. So it has to be issued between two hunters, or is it something like the Vanguard will put out and be like, here's the dare, who wants to do it?
So it seems like the Vanguard, if the Vanguard's involved at all, it's more about, okay, the dare is on. Like they like, it's basically like the dare is active, but it's between hunters as far as the nature of the dare. And the thing is hunters love daring each other. That's actually, there's lore pointing to, that's actually the determining factor of a hunter's cloak length is if you dare another hunter to do something, they're kind of honor bound to take up that dare. And if they win that dare, they get something. It's the whole gambling nature type thing.
Yeah.
Funny thing is that the hunters are so ornery. Yeah. Yep, they're definitely that. The hunters are essentially the teenage girls who are like, I bet that you can't.
I bet you can't do that.
Eat a spoonful of cinnamon.
Like, they're just sitting there going, tell me I won't. I'll do it. Tell me I won't. I'll go kill that thing. Tell me.
But the funny thing is that even though they don't want to actually take up the dare, if somebody calls them out, they're going to. And that's the whole point of it. Like that whole Vanguard dare is.
Yeah.
It's not
goes
that
back to the
Vanguard are set. Yeah, the Vanguard aren't the ones setting the dare. It's the hunter setting the dare, being like, "I bet you won't go do this," kind of thing.
And it's the
just,
ultimate
like, honoring it.
Yeah, it's the ultimate dare, right? Because it's you're giving up your freedom if you lose your dare. Now, that being said, Chad is making the point of Cade making the comment about, if you become the Vanguard, you need to start thinking about your dare. So it does also seem like the current Vanguard can dare non-Vanguard members to replace them. So, it's like this ever-moving... It's just like hunters they add so much complexity to the politics to begin with.
They really do. Like, it's just... I'm looking at this going, okay, so you have the Titans, they're, the more militaristic bunch, they're the protectors, you need something done, heavy lifting, all that stuff, you got them. You have the Warlocks. You got your research, your hidden ops, your black ops, whatever you want to do, sure. And you have hunters. I don't know. Just dare them to go kill stuff. I don't know.
Just dare them. Just dare. Just tell them that
it's the rednecks of the freaking Destiny universe. They're the
hold my beer.
I'm hold my beer. I'm gonna go take care of this.
It's the the Grimoire card with the Warlock and the Hunter, where it's like the greatest hunter couldn't take down Ahamkara. What'd you say? I was like, oh no, I've killed her. The best part was Jill writing the Ahamkara scale. I told that Warlock I could do it.
I told them. They didn't believe me.
That's so best, like, hidden gems in lore.
Oh my gosh. I remember when we saw that and I was like, oh, yes.
Like, yeah,
it does seem to exist between the two hunters. Like, so like another non-hunter can't dare a hunt. Like, that's not, because you get a bit of a sense of that with the Pahanin's errata. What is it? The record book that Pahanin had that has like all the little quips and rules and wisdoms, like, don't make the Warlocks look bad, but don't pretend like you're not doing it, basically. Like all that. There is a couple comments about like how the dare, like how gambling, and stuff goes within hunter ranks. And it's kind of like this unspoken thing where they're like, they're always trying to one up each other, but it's like the sibling rivalry, it's like, that thing of where like your sibling is always trying to make you look bad, but only they're allowed to do it. As soon as someone else does it, it's no, that's not allowed.
They definitely have that kind of feel to them. The other thing that I would point out is that the hunters often, they not only is it like a fun rivalry, they're also kind of jerky about it too.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, they will bait the snot out of somebody just to convince them to do something.
What? They're snotty and sarcastic? No.
Snotty and sarcastic?
Me? Sarcastic? Never.
Never.
Well, that's what is it? Tommy's matchbook, the ghost.
Yeah.
The ghost is like, I'm Tommy. Like, what's your name? Knife. Because isn't that the one the Guardian doesn't talk at all?
That's the one where they talk. Yeah, I mean, you have I'm Ghost said the hunter.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm Tommy says the ghost. I'm Ghost says the hunter.
Yeah, that's right. The hunter is Ghost, and the ghost is Tommy.
The other thing with that card in particular is you get that mention that everyone was just like freaking out about for the Guardian games was the fact that nobody's in the tower and they're all avoiding the Vanguard dare, and everyone's just like, self-fulfilling prophecy, I hear. Let's make this happen.
All the memes of Zavala tricking the hunters back to coming to the tower with Guardian games.
Did you see how much Reddit blew up over that?
That was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was so great. it's a weird it's a weird system, but it kind of just it works. Todd Howard, it just works.
So with this system in mind, though, with the way that the Hunter Dare works, and we're talking about how the Vanguard is basically not functioning any way that it was intended to at this point, what do we think is going to end up happening with the Vanguard Dare and the Hunters and everything else going on? Do we think there's going to be a revelation and everything kind of molds together again, like everything gets fixed politics wise, or are we going to have a complete breakdown?
It's one of those things where I think because things have gotten so broken since his death, I don't know. I don't think you can ever get it back to where it was with just replacing Cade. I almost think it would have to be sort of like a clean sweep of everyone, and you have all new Vanguard as sort of just a fresh era of what the Vanguard could be, in order to in order to like set it back to where it was.
Yeah, and I don't think that even the current Vanguard would necessarily have a problem with that. Because with Oxygen SR3, that particular entry is them having that exact conversation, actually. Like, because, and I know a lot of people like ragging on the Vanguard for their like mishandling of like the political structure, but to be fair to them, they were not put into the place that they were put into for politics. They were put there from like a military or research. And so like even Zavala kind of, I think it's Zavala. It's either Zavala or Ikora, but they basically call out the fact that they are kind of out of their depth right now. Like, the fact that they are managing to keep the city running is a testament to actually how good they are at what they do.
And that and them allowing sort of like all these other, like the cast of characters that we have in the tower now, it sort of speaks to like, we're just going to kind of go with the flow, and if it doesn't absolutely destroy things, all right.
Yeah, and I think as far as like the future state, kind of to start wrapping up, as far as my thoughts there is, I think it really is going to matter on what happens with the Doritos that are coming in,
Right.
Yeah.
I think that this is an opportune time that if we're going to wipe the slate, it will be a really good time to do that, because what better time to do a reworking of a power structure than, the eradication of the majority of that power structure.
Yeah.
Which,
to be fair,
doesn't bode well for the city, but,
No, to be fair, we don't know what... This is out of game information. This is not lore information at all. Lance just put out a tweet today. This is 5/15/2020 about him recording voiceover stuff for Destiny.
I'm in my closet.
In his closet. So we know he's still recording voice lines. So if there's something that happens with the Vanguard, it's not happening next season. Because next season is going to be...
A certain member from Top Gun is crashing Bungie web calls.
Oh, right. Who did he play in Top Gun?
I don't know. I don't like Top Gun, so I'm the last person to ask about that.
Okay. But yeah, there's a couple different voice actors that are making their presence known within the Destiny community, that they're continuing to voice over stuff, which is nice.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I agree with you, Blue. Like, if this were to be the end of the current Vanguard, now is sort of that kind of coalescence of
I think it's just kind of like that perfect alignment a little bit. Whether it's intended or not, you can whatever. I'm not going to get into that argument, but like I do think that it is a rather fortuitous timing to have a refresh, if you will.
Well, because it was like, we with the trailers of Forsaken, we knew the death of Cade was coming, but like that was meant to be a shock that, this was supposed to be sort of like a routine prison break mission. Nothing bad's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I was always so surprised with like with the Red War that we didn't lose anyone like that. Like we didn't lose any of them.
Yeah, well, especially with they called out too with Ikora being afraid of things and Zavala finally kind of in his own way snapping a bit there, And I mean, then you also see Asher's fear for his continued survival, because he's getting the Vex infection and stuff. Oh my gosh, there's so many loose threads I could go down with that, but
many.
You guys want to do a preliminary round of shout outs for the intro session and then we'll jump back in for the advance?
Do it.
Sure.
All right. Cam, what do you got for the advance? Or the intro session shout outs? What do you have for us?
I would like to shout you guys out for letting me do this. This has always been a community that I've sort of been like on the outside, not necessarily outside of, but like on the outskirts of. And this past year, I've been trying to make an effort to get more involved in it. And I've listened to you guys for like a long time. So being able to come on here and talk about the game that I love so much is really great. So I want to thank you guys for that.
Thank
you.
you.
It's one of those things that I hope more people make that kind of that connection and that jump and stand out and be like, hey, I can do this too. Because Blue and I, we've studied the lore a long time, but there are a lot of great people out there who are maybe just longtime fans and just listeners who have just a passion to just study it in their own right that should come out and talk about it, because everybody's perspective is super important. No one person is going to have all the answers.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too, off that is like sometimes the best insights are from people who might not have studied it in depth. Like, everyone focuses on a different aspect of information. Like, one person's, that's obvious, is another person's, complete mystery. I mean, that's I can't tell you how many times I'll be in a conversation with someone about something not even game related, just, in general. And they'll be like, oh, well, I thought it meant this. And it's like, I didn't, I did. Oh, like it just the way that people look at things are so drastically different. But yeah, I don't know. That's why I absolutely just enjoy having different people jump on, even if they're quote unquote not knowledgeable, which is a load of BS in my opinion, but whatever.
I mean, if you played the game, you're knowledgeable.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even if you didn't play the game, there's sometimes I'll be talking to my wife about stuff and she makes just an offhand comment. Because, I mean, like, if you know anything about stories, which, if you're human, you know something about stories, it's like, there's patterns and stuff that everyone is recognized. And, it's just those insights. It's just general insight. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it is true.
But Green, what about you? Or Cam, was that all of them? Or
yeah, that was all for me.
Okay, cool.
My shout out is mainly to just the listeners who are out there who have maybe never reached out and said hi to us, or have been kind of in that boat where you're just like, hey, I really love the lore, but I don't think I should say something. Actually, I'm gonna Hunter Vanguard dare you. I'm gonna dare you to come say hi to either Blue or I online, whether it's on Twitter or in Discord. Come check out what we're talking about online on any given day. There's a lot of gifts. Sometimes there's things that are a little blue, but for the most part,
today we had a serious conversation.
We did, and
I had a serious conversation. Green saw it and was like, nope.
I did totally nope out on that one. No, thank you. I do not want to get into cultural appropriation whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, come say hi. Come hit us up on Twitter. Even if you don't have an account or anything like that, reach out in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just an email. Blue and I have emails that are same as our, I believe the same as our handles, or at least mine is.
There's also the contact form on the Lore Network site, which means that you don't have to have an account anywhere, really. It's completely open. So, and that'll go directly to our group email.
Yes, it will. And so after that, my secondary shout out is mainly a shout out for the recording that's happening next week. Next week's guest is going to be Gaston. I know that is not how he pronounces his name, but I'm going to make him sound like Beauty and the Beast anyway because I'm the host. And he is going to be joining us on the topic of looking ahead, as in what in the world is going to happen in the game. Blue?
I just wanted to give a big shout out actually to the people that I had a conversation with this today on Twitter. We had an amazing conversation about there was a situation that came up that someone posted over on BungieNet about the word choice that was for whatever
used
reason.
In the mission, it's the mission for Anna. It's
basically the term. There's a term used that in the Korean culture is viewed as offensive, and it was this person's post, which is it was an amazing post actually. But basically, it started this conversation about the purpose of language really, and like how what's the expectation as far as coming as people, if someone tells you something's offensive, does that mean anything and all that. And like there were so many points where I was sitting there looking at this conversation going, this is gonna dovetail into something really bad, and it never did. Like we never it was probably one of the best conversations I've had in a very long time on Twitter. Like actually, no, it's just the best conversations I've had in a long time, and it was on Twitter, which was multiple surprises there. But a big shout out to everyone who got involved with that. Wicked, Viru, I think Man at Arms was in there. I'm just blanked on the Glasgow. Oh gosh, what's his name?
Dava?
Yeah. So like it was just a great conversation, and it went on like all day. Like we were on that conversation thread for predominantly most of the day today. So big shout out to you guys for just reaffirming faith in Twitter conversations, which is
humanity.
Hard to do. Very open-minded and reasonable from chat. It was nice. It was just a nice breath of fresh air.
Breath of fresh air.
So, with that being said, I want to thank you all for your time. And until next time, remember, with wisdom we conquer, stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring. I got an arc buddy.
I actually am not a huge fan of arc buddies because they alert people to my location when I don't want them to.
Yeah, I've gotten killed by so many of these damn things that it's ridiculous.
Oh, like, arc buddies, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be sitting there and all of a sudden something's like just like doka doka doka, and I'm like, what the hell is shooting me? It's a stupid arc buddy from like across the map. It felt like.
Arcade calls it something, but like Steve or something like that. Some strange name.
Wicked. Too bad.
Whether you want it or not.
Too damn it. How many times has that happened where we're standing on a point and you fucking pop your bubble, or not your bubble, but your damn well, and it's like, fucking shit, I was gonna try to be sneaky.
Consent.
I am literally like, I play Night Stalker specifically so I can push to the back lines, and your goddamn little buddies
trigger name. My name, I'm Billy.
Trigger alert.
Raz so many times. Oh my god, Green, what did you just do?
What did I do?
Yeah, you just like jumped across the map.
I am... God damn it, take a flashlight into the shadows. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. It's a fucking... It's like, if it was taking a flashlight, it would make sense.
How did it not?
But... Oh,
take
you...
flashlight for your trip.
Fucking pussy titan hiding behind a wall and then popping his super that doesn't have to aim.
Green's triggered. Everybody watch out.
I mean, you got a bow. I'm already.
Yeah. It's not
Frustrating.
like the Arc Buddy shows up on the radar. No! It's just a giant glowing ball of light.
Yep.
You know, when you're trying to blend into the shadows, that's not distracting at all to see a sentient orb of electricity fly around.
And it's not like you can tell it, hey, don't shoot at that
Casper.
guy. I'm trying to sneak up on him.
Stop, Casper. Stop tickling me.
Oh my god, there's 43 of them.
Oh my gosh.
I don't
Yeah,
know what's
no.
gonna come out of those ships, but I want Dark Guardians. I was teased in Taking King so many times with Dark Guardians. I just want Dark Guardians.
The Void called. It's angry. They gotta scrape us up. Us Night Stalkers off the map.
Green's
after we
angry,
try to
protect me,
ambush.
Billy.
That's the name of the damn. Is it Billy?
That's Trigger's
Orchid,
name
what's the-
for it.
Okay, what's the name? Orchid, what's the name of your Arc buddies? If you can hear me at the moment.
I'm messaging her real quick.
I am too. Just like angry typing in the background.
Andes.
Meme cat. Andes, okay. That doesn't make it any better because now it makes me want mints. I want Andy's mints.
She's
Those are the
laughing
best
so
fucking
hard
mints.
because I'm like Green's triggered. She just like
Protect me.
oh jeez.
God damn it. Alright. So
I mean, I don't know.
Aaron.
It's not up there with the honey badger with
Flag.
fucking shotgun from last night. I get a
Why
message
was
from
that?
I get a message from Rick. Honey badger's done, and I'm like, nope. No, I'm like, you can give me a picture of a honey badger, and I'll just nope out anyways. But you put a shotgun in its hands.
Wicked you sent me that earlier today because I was raging about something, but I don't remember what it was.
I would like to speak
no,
with
it was
you
the
and
it was
you
the
and
OSHA.
you and you.
It was the OSHA thing.
Oh yeah, the OSHA thing. I was doing.
By the
I was
way-
listening. I was editing it, and you. And
Honey
you were
Badger
like,
OSHA
we
CEO.
need to do clips, and I'm like, oh, I have the perfect clip for
Mhm.
this.
I sent you the link to it, by the way.
Yes, I
did
saw.
a video.
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
I say you could actually show stream because it's pretty funny.
Because
It's
Honey
very
Badger
short.
Don't guess.
Honey Badger don't gas? What?
Honey Badger OSHA CEO.
Oh my god.
Rick's was just Honey Badger is done. To which I respond with, "Fuck no." Just if I could leave this DM, I am just nope. Oh my god.
So, are you ready to talk about the maintenance log?
Maintenance log. Is that the which one's maintenance log?
It's the one that's in the show notes. It's the one I told you
yeah.
I would guide them to build the lighthouse, not carry the
Not
torch
to
for
carry
you.
the torch for you, yeah. I should call it the Trials of Saint 14. I wouldn't.
Have you heard, or I should actually say it this way. There is a voice line that Saint says when you're loading into Trials of Osiris, where he calls it Trials of Saint 14 and then makes fun of himself for it.
That's amazing. I haven't heard it, but I probably will because I'll be going through the dialogue for him.
I think I did. I played Trials of Osiris one time, and I think I heard it. I was like, did he just make fun of himself?
I like Saint. He is the only Vanguard that I know that will make fun of himself.
Yep. I don't know why. Like even like back in D1 when you first hear about him, I don't know why I pictured him as Russian, but I'm so glad that he is.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Okay, that warlock was completely invisible. I don't know what just happened.
So if the warlock got a cookie from a Night Stalker, he could be invisible.
Maybe that's what happened. I don't know what. Like, he didn't even show up with Wishender. That was weird. Anyways.
Xbox has been pretty wonky lately, not gonna lie.
I will say that it has been a very weird trial to get into Destiny 2 these last couple days. Like, I don't know.
Trial to get into it? Why?
Yeah, like, it takes forever to... Oh, you both walked into that rocket! I didn't realize there were... I didn't realize there were two of them!
That's rude.
I just thought there was one! I'm gonna take
poor
it!
unsuspecting Guardian.
Second Guardian, I was like, oh, hello!
You get a rocket. You get a rocket. Everyone gets rockets.
Just the Oprah of rockets and games.
Could you imagine Oprah as a Guardian?
Oh my god, she would be a warlock.
She'd be like a warlock just tossing Nova Bombs. Just you get Nova Bomb. You get a Nova Bomb.
What's the solar... The Sunbreakers?
Yes, the Sunbracers.
Titan?
No, the gauntlets for the warlock.
Yeah.
Sunbracers, yeah. The ones that give you like infinite grenades.
Just spinning and just slowly floating and turning in a circle, just tossing them out.
PTSD memories from D1 on friggin' Rusted Lands. You go into the point for I think it's A, and it's just floor of solar grenades. I'm like, yep, okay, I'm just not going in there.
We're not going there.
We're not gonna go in there at all.
The immediate every time in D1, I heard like once they added in the hammers every time, I'd be playing Crucible and be like, all right, I'm gonna go take B, and then you'd hear the hammer clink, and I'm like, nope, we're not going to B.
Turn around.
Yeah, tank, tank.
The ting tings are out. We need to run.
I just hear that ting ting, and it's like, nope.
Yep.
That's one of the most memorable things was Fraggle losing his shit in the middle of a match. Like, we're all talking, just not having a panic attack, and all of a sudden, just and it's like, what just happened? Justin's sitting there going, oh, that's a sun. That's a sunbreaker.
You know what I want? I want somebody to take the sounds of the supers and turn it into a dubstep song.
Oh God.
Yes.
And just watch every Guardian just lose their fucking mind because of the PTSD going on.
Everyone has a different PTSD sound.
I feel like because I've seen like the meme videos of they took the tink sound and turned it into the kick drum hit to start Hollaback Girl.
Oh God.
My God, really?
I have been searching for that video for over a year ever since I saw it, because I kick myself every day for not saving it, but it is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Everyone's just a twitching mess on the floor. Yeah, see, they would be an absolute just fucking crying in the corner, curled up with a blankie.
We're having Crucible flashbacks. Can't help it.
I shot the wrong person. All right.
Oh, God damn it. Is that Tommy's? Nope, that's Sweet Business. That fucking Titan.
Nope. Where is he? I'm going to avoid him like
He's
the plague.
in A. He's in A. You're running towards A.
I am changing direction. You're running towards him. Okay, you gotta turn around and go the other way, because that's a bad idea.
Every now and then I get a little bit lonely.
It's a very hunter mentality. He's at A. I'm going to A.
Oh shit! Boop. They keep running out of this door. I'm still happy about that rocket.
That is honestly, those doors are my favorite places to sort of just scout and camp out and watch from a distance with a bow.
It's a Dawnblade.
That Titan is a little laggy, and it's kind of annoying me.
Yeah, the match that you had, that you said you got disconnected on, we had a Titan that was running around, and I'm like, I popped him in the face with a bow, and he didn't do anything. And then he like stutter stepped, and I was like, "Oh no, this is gonna end badly for me."
He's twitching. I don't like it.
I feel like I'm in danger.
A Titan took it. It did. It did. Thank you for saying that. I didn't want to say it.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger. Da-da. Did I only get one person? God damn it, I didn't even get one person. I'm so mad. Oh, Orbeez.
On Blade.
Oh, again? Seriously? Oh, son of a... That point of the stag
I used to
bow.
be an adventurer like you.
And I took a arrow to the face.
I took three rounds to the chest on the DeSoto case.
Oh, God.
Anyone names that movie, I will be forever impressed.
I'm terrible with movie references. This is something that is not new to anybody who is
I shot him in the
listening
butt.
to the show.
I have... yes, thank you, Flag! Oh my god!
Charlie's Angels 2?
Yes.
Wow, that's an oddly specific one.
Flag, wow.
Because it's Demi Moore's character and like
Full
her whole
throttle.
character arc is it's literally Charlie's Angels 2 Full Throttle. It's the worst title ever, but her whole character arc is literally she's now a bad angel because she got shot in the chest when she went rogue.
Good
Isn't
Lord.
that normal when you go rogue on something? Like, people don't tend to like that.
Oh, I'm
Orchid's
impressed.
got-
Yeah, on the
Orchid's
DeSoto
got-
case, wait out.
We should cap a zone.
Ow. No. Fine. I'll die. Thanks. The DeSoto case. We know. Rockets are back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I, for whatever reason, have an encyclopedic knowledge of movie and other things quotes, and
Charlie's
I make a lot
Angels
of
quotes.
yeah, well, not just Charlie's Angels, but yes, a lot of weird movies, and
like it.
I will quote them, and
Orchid.
and people won't know their quotes, and they'll just be like, "Why are you saying weird things?"
Orchid's
But
not
those are
happy
the
with
best
the sweet
quotes.
business.
Yeah, let's change lobbies and start up the, pull out of this lobby.
Oh my.
Pull out, Blue, pull out. Everyone feels really awkward.
I am an adult. All right. Let me start the backup for this. All right. You guys good?
Yep.
All right.
Mhm.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on May 15th, 2020, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat, as we continue our discussion over the current state of the Vanguard. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the advanced session of the week's exploration. Congratulations to those who signed up for a deeper dive. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
This is the queen of ASMR, green-eyed music lover.
Are you a whisper bard?
Whisper Bard is best bard.
And last but definitely not the least in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend, Hey, I'm Dead Again, or as we'll be referring to him, Cam. Cam, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
I need an adult.
ASMR bard. Whisper
is-
sweet nothings while slowly killing you.
While also playing the feather.
Oh my gosh. I need to check in on Josh and see if they have had a chance to make that game happen. But anyways, going back into the conversation about the Vanguard. Green, you wanna talk about Zavala and the Guardian games, or would you like to talk about maintenance operation logs?
I mean, well, Guardian games.
I mean, I know that
Zav-
Zavala and Zavala and Shax got crunk at the Blustery Brew.
Did they? I don't remember that one. I remember the Hawthorne stuff.
There's when you first talked to Zavala after the Guardian Games event, he was like, Shax is really looking forward to going to celebrate, and I think it was Little She-Bear was like, oh no, they're gonna go tear it up at the Blustering Brew. I was like, oh, Jesus. That's so true. I forgot about the Titan bar that the city has.
If they're going to the Titan bar and some of those voice lines that you found in the API are true, they're going to have a much more enjoyable evening than originally intended.
I really hope that's what happened.
Shout out to the Lore Network for collecting and providing you this tiny bit of lore that will probably break your brains.
Probably.
Let's just say Shax has an interest.
Shax is an equal opportunist. Let's just say that.
That's definitely putting it nicely.
Anyway, so Guardian Games. I know, I just wrote blue. Didn't think I'd bring it up, did you? Here, maintenance log. So we have the maintenance log that happened in Season of the Worthy. It's maintenance operations log 30037. It takes place between Guardian type class Titan and Guardian class type Warlock. It is a conversation between Osiris and Saint 14. It's kind of an amusing card. Blue, do you want to... I honestly think we should read it to talk about it a tiny bit, because there's aspects of it that I think are important to the Vanguard.
Blue. Yeah. Which user do you want me to be?
You... B2.
Okay.
I told you I would guide them to build the lighthouse, not carry the torch for you.
The Guardians require a balance Lord Shax can't provide. There is no one else.
And what about you?
I have unfinished business out in the dark. Take this.
What is this? A letter?
For your eyes only, when I depart, trust nothing. No one.
Except you, of course.
When have I ever led you astray?
This week, you mean?
Help where you can. The Vanguard has been serving too long. Their blind spots have grown.
Perhaps, but they're wiser too. Ikora and the commander have guided the city through dire straits.
Have you spoken to the House of Light, like I asked?
I would rather not speak with Fallen.
They need our help. They may need our help. Their cause is just.
What happened to trust no one?
What happened to your sense of right and wrong, hero?
That is the city's word, not mine. And the people still remember when I defended its builders from those very Fallen.
Our kind live for a long time, Saint. Too long to bear grudges.
These accolades I wear are a reminder of what we lost to get here.
I think those who gave them to you would be disappointed to hear that.
I had nearly forgotten that you finally asked about them.
We live too long for regrets. You taught me that. Don't forget the House of Light.
If I can find the time, yes. Not all of us conjure echoes.
Reflections, Saint. I have no need for echoes anymore.
One is a manifestation of light, the other reserved for taking kings, better suited for traversing the sundial because of what lies at its core.
Oh, you skipped it.
Oh, I did. What do you mean? What's the difference? Sorry. Crucible and reading of the card is really hard. We'll have to say that. I read. Sorry, Osiris. What do you mean? What's the difference?
One is a manifestation of light, the other, reserved for taking kings, better suited for traversing the sundial because of what lies at its core.
One day you will have to tell me exactly what you and the Guardian did to bring me back.
We did what we had to. Trust me.
Now you sound like the rat.
No, the drifter sounds like me.
Where do you go next?
Wherever my road takes me, the lunar pyramid has galvanized the hive. Toland has been left unchecked for too long. I heard that he's still wandering the cursed city.
Then you really are just going to leave me with a burning sack? I should call it Trials of Saint 14.
You could, but you know how fickle guardians can be about names.
I will prepare them in your stead for what's coming. One last time.
It's bad luck to say last. Try not to put them on too high a pedestal, Saint. There's no one else to guide them.
Kind of a sad state of affairs there. Just gonna say that. And I would also like to say I am not at the bottom of the leaderboard with this card being read at the same time.
I am 100% comfortable with being where I always am.
Firmly at the bottom.
Firmly at the... Hey, someone's got to be the boat anchor.
You know, it takes skill.
It does.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I got to make sure that you feel better about yourself being right above me.
Someone's got to make everyone look good.
So I do actually like how Saint is like showing a bit of a character flaw within this particular thing with regards to Mithrax.
Not enjoying the Fallen.
Well, it's just it's one of those things where it's like, I know Osiris makes the comment that they live too long to hold grudges, but it's almost like, yeah, you live long enough that habits become so ingrained in your person. You know, there's something to be said about the way that guardians operate within the world. Sure. Because there's so much. Well, and what I mean by that is, like, if you think about it, a guardian is resurrected initially and already has a personality, already has, you know, for the most part, speech capabilities, understanding stuff. I mean, there's a lot that there's already naturally habitually present. So to then say, oh, well, you know, habitually holding grudges against so-and-so it's almost like that's a natural state for a guardian. I would make the slight argument for.
Well, with Saint in particular, Saint saw so many horrendous things when it comes to the Fallen. God. The whole eating of children thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy has seen a lot, and he's been through a lot as well. So the idea that him having a slight bit of bias and not wanting to do the whole thing that Osiris is asking him to do, which possibly is just Saint just not wanting to be in charge of something, which is more of what I think is actually going on, rather than Saint being like,
I don't like him.
I don't want. It's just more of, I want to have an excuse, but I also don't want to do this. But I mean, I like Saint. I don't think he would completely negate duty, because that is absolutely against his character. But he definitely would rather Osiris take care of Osiris' business instead of Osiris pushing another guardian off to do Osiris' business, like
that's
he's
fair.
done so many times.
That's fair.
The amount of time I have had to kill that stupid Cyclops in that strike.
Right?
I still have yet to get my apology letter.
Not only the Cyclops, but just like everything Osiris has done, he has often pushed somebody else in front of him. Mm-hmm. He was trying to do it with Ikora. If we go back to like the whole Vanguard arrangement and whatnot, he definitely was trying to get out of it and just make somebody else do it, because he didn't want to, because he'd rather do his own things. He's in some ways skirting responsibility.
I mean, he is the hunteriest warlock I've ever met. It's really just, I want to do my own thing.
That's fair. I don't know. But this one, when I'm with them talking about the leadership, there's kind of this uneasiness that they talk about the leadership with. Like, they say that Zavala and Ikora are doing a good job, but that they're not going to be enough for what's coming.
Yeah. Well, like him, like them calling out the fact that their blind spots have grown. That, you know, sort of basically in so many words saying like they're becoming a danger because they're not, they're becoming too rigid and set in their ways, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's the reason why they're saying that, though? Or just that they're spread too thin? Because at this point, I would say that the Vanguard are just spread so stinking thin, trying to do all the different things that they can't even do one thing at this point.
Yeah, I think that's probably more what it is. But I think you could make an argument about like with Ikora becoming so involved in the hidden that she's sort of beginning to neglect the Vanguard in itself, and then that leaves everything to Zavala, who's running around trying to prevent, 47 cataclysmic events happening.
Which, by the way, I am glad that Zavala's out there doing things. Like, that actually, I enjoy seeing the Vanguard out in the field. Even if
Yeah,
it's just in a very brief thing, seeing them out doing the mission, seeing Zavala in the bunkers with Anna, that
I
is
should.
something I really like. But one of the things I want to bring up with that is something we actually talked about with the Rasputin episode that we recorded last week, is that Zavala has had such huge character changes,
Mm-hmm.
and I would I I hesitate to call it growth because the whole I don't necessarily see it as growth in some ways, him trusting Rasputin so readily, but the changes that Zavala has had recently has been drastic in a lot of ways. Saying that he's rigid in his ways, I would actually argue he's not. He's changed quite a bit, especially in the last season. Hmm. Blue, what are you thinking,
I think
Mr.?
that's an accurate statement. I think Zavala has. I think Eva makes the comment about that too, because like I think she kind of makes it in a joking manner about like, oh, I never understood why a Titan's shoulder pauldrons are so big. But it's because like there's that sense of he's carrying, that proverbial weight of the world on his back, and with regards to the Vanguard, in the situations that we have seen them in currently, that is kind of accurate. I mean, that's one of the reasons that he, I know a lot of people give him grief for the whole thing with the Forsaken campaign, but that's why he did what he did, was because there was no need to needlessly risk, city forces for the vendetta of one guardian.
Sure.
But then you see within the curse, dealing with the curse, he did, and he was willing to help with that because they were allies, and there was a military mitigation factor there. And so I'm interested to see, and I agree a bit with your hesitation to say character growth. I think maybe it's more of a clarification of the situation, which in my brain might help explain, what we perceive to be a very quick 180 could just be, something. And I don't know, like we usually got with the whole situation with Warmind, we got the web lore that kind of explained his apprehension with Rasputin. We never got that with the IO bunker. So I'm hoping that maybe we get something down the road, maybe that kind of clarifies his internal processing of what all was happening there.
I think in some ways he's lost. I mean, somebody was mentioning it in chat. He's lost so many adults in his life in some respects, like so many good, responsible people that it would not surprise me that he would be looking for quote unquote new allies, so to speak.
Well, and I mean, given the current situation, yeah, I would 100% say that's probably an accurate statement for the situation that they're in. I mean, because if you think about it, that's pretty on the nose. We're running thin on leadership and on, in some capacity, allies. And arguably one of the largest threats is bearing down on us.
Yeah.
So I mean, from that standpoint, I can see an argument being made that, I don't know. I can see an argument being made for that being the case, for sure.
Definitely see that. So do we think that now this episode, when I structured this one out, I structured a lot of the history and stuff to go in the first one, and this one to be more of a theorizing type episode. Do we want to theorize at all what's going to happen with the Vanguard upcoming?
I wouldn't mind. I mean, I have a couple ideas.
Yeah, go for it.
And I mean, especially since because this is sort of the log that started me on the idea of maybe they're starting to put out there that they're considering a new Vanguard entirely. Especially because I remember reading that line the first time saying the Vanguard's been serving too long. I'm like, that's the first time that anyone in game has sort of mentioned that idea that these characters are replaceable and they may have sort of served their time.
May have served their purpose.
Yeah. I would be. I think that story thread would be very interesting to follow. I've been wrong so many times with where I thought the story was going to go. I'm no longer in the business of predicting, as much as I try to. But I think that would be a really interesting story thread, just because it's not something I've ever really experienced in games like this, where you have a change in leadership of that magnitude. Losing someone like Cade is sort of a common trope in terms of storytelling in game, where you lose the glue that holds the team together. But
losing the whole team.
Yeah, losing the whole team, whether it's they go out in a blaze of glory in the final confrontation, or a confrontation with the darkness, or they sort of just get quietly ousted or even politically ousted. I don't really know what it could be. I think, me personally, I have this kind of working theory that I think there are faction elements inside the consensus that are seeing the weakness in the Vanguard as is right now, being down a full member, and are probably looking to take advantage of that and sort of break the reliance that the city has on the Vanguard.
If we are completely honest, though, the Vanguard have not been functioning in the same capacity since before Cade's death. The Red War, they were not the same Vanguard that we had in D1.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of probably their main argument is you guys couldn't see this coming. You could this was something of your cause, your campaign against the Cabal on Mars decimated them so much that this is what they brought in to put it down. And I it's kind of I've always said Destiny 2 is the game of dealing with the consequences of what we did in Destiny 1. We're dealing with the Red War because of how badly we decimated Cabal forces in our system, and we're dealing with the aftermath of the Taken War, and dealing with the stuff that of all that comes with it. So I think it could be a really interesting story. I don't necessarily know. I mean, I guess no. I don't want to get rid of New Monarchy flag. That's my faction, and I will stand with them.
Yes.
But I think it could be something like, I know, because isn't there lore that says the commander of the Concordant Lysander is still out there and gathering strength again? So I think that could be sort of an interesting thing, because his whole thing was, let's get rid of the speaker, and we don't have a speaker right now either. So what if he were to come back and sort of be like, let's just get rid of the Guardians altogether. They didn't protect you. They've fallen apart since then. They've never regained their strength. Let's just, wipe the slate clean and pick new ones.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't even know if they actually would pick new ones, to be honest. I don't think they would. I think they would completely just get rid of the idea of them and be done with it. I think I mean, there might be groups, leaders within it, but I don't think they're going to be quite the same.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, who could you replace Cade with and have the Vanguard improve in function?
Shiro.
But then my follow-up question is why hasn't he stepped up?
Because Bungie.
Because storytelling.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, yeah, because Bungie is probably the best answer.
Yep, probably. Blue?
So I think there's a lot of issues with really either situation. Like you can't get rid of the Vanguard because Guardians, for better or worse, are a force that's going to be existing in the world that Destiny operates in. And if you get rid of the Vanguard, sure, you get rid of maybe the opposition immediately, but what you also do is you create a situation that is far worse in the sense that now you have basically demigods running around unchecked, and your one place of control, which, argue all you want one way or the other, it was a point of control for those forces. For the large majority of what was going on in Destiny, the Vanguard served as a very, very powerful mitigating force for the abuse of power that could be done by the Guardian forces on both a political and a military standpoint. So I don't think if the factions are at all cognizant of political ramifications, they're going to want to get rid of them without replacing them with something similar to it. That being said, I don't necessarily disagree that I think I would agree that there are factions within the factions, which is a really annoying statement to say, but I think that there are groups operating within that are seeking to undermine maybe the level of authority that the Vanguard has within the city's infrastructure, not necessarily within the Guardian's infrastructure, but we have instances where Shaxx is curtailing corruption inside the Crucible by other factions, by other companies even. And those factions and those companies are trying to, get a one-up on another person. It's just, standard political jockeying for pecking order. I think that's going to happen no matter what. But I think to get rid of the leadership component of a force that has the potential to do as much damage as Guardians do if they're not checked. I mean, we would be going back to Warlords. And that's the situation that most people in the city would probably be cognizant of, given what it took to get out of that situation. And given the lack of romanticizing that period has been put through, because in the scope of things, it has been maybe a generation or two in the city's development since that period. So it hasn't been long enough for people to start turning that into the romanticized Roman, let's look at the Roman Golden Age as this romantic thing. It wasn't. It was a horrible period of time. And, the travesties that were caused back there were glossed over. But that's because in today's world, it's been so long that the shock of it hasn't,
you forget about
dulled. The other prime example realistically is go look up the history of Genghis Khan and understand that everything that was done by that individual makes everything that has happened in the modern world pale in comparison when it talks about travesties of war crimes. But a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't know that about that period because it's been so long. And that's the exact opposite of what we're having with The Last City. So I think, and I think Dino said, story-wise, telling the Vanguard's never going to go away, because that is also, from a storytelling point, that is the introduction tool that they use to teach new players how to play the game. So you're going to always need something of that. Now, whether or not it is air quote, the Vanguard, that is, I think, much more fluid. I think that we could have a situation where it transfers or, it transforms into something more informal. But I think that archetypical positioning will always be present. And I think that because of that, we are going to see something come into play for the hunters. Because, as much as joking aside, the same way that they have a position that mentors new players and all that, it does need, not just for symmetry, it does also need for storytelling perspective to explain how, because we know that new Guardians are still being created. So the question is who's training the hunters? And all joking aside, hunters did provide a rather crucial component of city infrastructure. I mean, a lot of times it's told that the hunters are the ones that are scouting the wilds, who are bringing back equipment, bringing back, all the stuff that the city then uses to transform and build and continue products or production of different things. The hunters are a large scouting force and also are the ones that get sent out to take care of threats outside of the walls. There's a very important component that the hunter forces did fill within not just the Vanguard, but also within the city itself. It would be the equivalent. Well, right. But but there's going to be a critical mass point at which that efficiency is going to start pettering off if they don't get someone to help orchestrate that, is what I'm saying. Because Cade, like the hunter mentor, regardless of how much they were willing to be there, they were responsible for, in D1 we used to have the bounty board. They were responsible for that type of stuff. And so without that, there is no orchestrating, and that's not just hunters, to be fair. I mean, everyone used the bounty board. That was where it was, handed out. It's like this person's causing problems. There's a fallen warlord, that was half the strikes were glorified evolutions from the bounty board. I think was it Winter's Run was the one with the fallen warship or the fallen Kel ship on Venus back in D1. That was pretty much a assassination call that was there. I mean, the infamous Valis to Arc strike was an assassination. Like that, if you want to get down to brass tacks about that one, that was us taking the head off a snake that before it could get too big to be a big threat. Yeah. That's exactly what that was. That was a military ordered assassination of an enemy leader. And so, and there's a large component that the Vanguard is doing very important stuff. Now, again, you have stuff like the New Monarchy, the Concordat, but I I agree, but I also disagree with. I can see the current Vanguard changing, but I don't see it going away. Just simply because from a political, like from a pragmatic standpoint, you would be creating such a worse situation by just removing them than you would be by you would be solving. The cure in that situation would be far worse than the disease, if you want to look at it like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's some really obnoxious Titans right now in this match that are kind of requiring more attention than normal.
Yeah, see, like I can see that too. Like Dino's saying right now in chat. Sorry, Dino's saying that he's been adamantly opposed to Aldrin becoming the Hunter Vanguard because of the dare. Because there's a lot of components that can be argued there. But that being said, if we actually get like a story, like a minor campaign to develop him into helping him become the Hunter Vanguard, and he steps into that role because of development that we help, we as our characters, help grow him in the story, yeah, I think that would be really cool, because he says, give me this sad loner who's trying to find his place in the world that hates him by virtue of existence, and give him a noble warrior that feels he owes it to try to remedy the problem that they caused. Because when it comes down to it, whether or not you pulled the trigger on Aldrin, a large part of it is you were present and you were a very large part of the Aldrin situation.
Yeah.
Which then resulted in, the resurrection of Aldrin as a Guardian. So I can see that would be a fascinating story to see. Not to mention, you want to cause some drama in the Vanguard.
Oh,
Put Aldrin as the Hunter Vanguard beside Ikora and Zavala.
Do you have any idea how much money I would pay for
Oh
a 5-minute fully animated clip of Ikora's first reaction of Aldrin coming to the shower?
That's
just watching the note, like just I don't know, like
or
he's in a room.
I mean, the thing is,
anyone to Gina Torres lose her mind.
I mean, really, honestly, I think that would also be, just kind of going in that tongue-in-cheek thing. That would also be a really interesting way to win Zavala, or win people back over for Zavala, is to see Zavala actually showing he's like, he's actually got emotional problems with that situation. Like, everyone was giving him grief because of his stoic response, and as a character, I still argue that response really made sense because of the way that he held himself and the way that he was looking at it. But I mean, gosh, can you imagine how many people how much response that would generate if you see like Aldrin actually walking? Because it's a different thing with Aldrin being halfway across the system and then him walking across the tower, and just seeing the stress that would create. That would be a very interesting story to watch.
It would, and it's almost one of those things where I want it to happen because I want it. That's like sort of a test on them of, here's this idea of when you become a Guardian, you're sort of given this clean slate. You don't know anything. You don't know anything that you have in your background, but you have this. But like Dino said, you have to live up with this. This is who you used to be, and you have to deal with the consequences of that.
Right, but Zavala's the one that's always said that. I think where Zavala's are, we are Guardians. Who we were before does not matter. And so, I mean, putting him in the same room as Aldrin, that would be a huge test of his own philosophy.
And I think, it could also bring up like a really interesting dynamic of what qualifies you to be a member of the Vanguard. Because certainly there have been people who've walked away from the Vanguard, but has there been anyone who's been like outright denied before they're even sort of given a chance?
Well, we do know, and on that vein, we do know that the consensus does have a say in it. Like the consensus has to agree that someone is going to be the Vanguard. So like now, also in the same vein, we don't know that anyone has been denied the position of Vanguard. Again, I put up Caliban as a possible example because if he was given the role from Tallulah and then, you know, he comes back to the city and they're like, no, we don't know. Like, I mean, to be completely honest, we don't know. But, yeah, I that is an interesting thing for me to think about as well.
I like what Dino had said in chat, sort of giving us this like campaign for him to prove worthy. I almost would like to see sort of the same, because he had mentioned earlier in chat like Shiro wouldn't really want to do it because the Vanguard's taken two of his best friends, and the two hunters he knew best both took this job and both died with this job. So why would I take it? Like, what am I going to do differently?
Right, but that's the figuring out what the draw is to bring another hunter leader in there, right? That's the finding the new motivation. It's always been a dare at this point. But how do you try to dare somebody into this position now when it's been so heart-wrenching, I guess would be the thing, because the person who would most likely take the position would be a guardian like my guardian who was there as a hunter. It would be very, very easy for that guardian to step up, but you can't write that. There's no way to make that a written thing.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that earlier today too. It's like, well, what would we do if we made the Guardian the Hunter Vanguard? You know, like, let's just play this out. And I realized, I was like, it would never happen, because here's the thing is, from a game standpoint, you have to write it where everyone can experience it. And we by nature have people who play different classes. And you're never gonna have a Warlock or a Titan take the role of a Hunter Vanguard. Like, because the thing that's missing is very specifically a hunter, like every hunter was appointed by blackmail
prior.
This is true.
This is very true.
Was Tallulah though?
Black Flag is also I wouldn't do it.
Tallulah was appointed by she was asked by the speaker. I think she initially turned him down. And then, like, later came in, like, I don't know if she came in after he had said, like, oh, I'm also getting Saint 14 and Osiris.
Yeah, I think the speaker dared her. He dared her.
Like,
I bet you can't do this.
I bet you can't do this and be the best hunter for it. She said, hold my bow.
Yeah, that's... Hold my bow is the best thing.
Titans may have a bar in the city, but hunters have multiple dives that are not labeled that only hunters go to. There would have to be.
You Dino. Yeah, he's got
Dino.
Are there others? Tallulah said.
So it's a dare.
Sobering a little. When the speaker shrugged, she straightened her shoulders and tried to shrug it off as well. I don't know. I'm not sure I have time for logistical stuff. Well, I thought you might be up for the challenge, the speaker said. Because it would be a challenge given your schedule. A daring endeavor, even. Tallulah was suddenly dead serious. So it's a dare, speaker? It might be.
Like, just pop
Reverse
a speaker.
Psychology, a hunter's greatest weakness.
Right?
Pop a speaker, just playing everyone like a fiddle. Well, okay, so this brings up, it might be a little bit of an off-topic question, because there have been other speakers in the past, haven't there?
Yes, but there haven't been speakers of the last city.
Okay. It's just been him, the original.
Correct.
Or the one that we got to know. Okay.
Yes. Well, that we know of. I think even that can be argued, because there are some lines that mention the title having changed, if I remember correctly, from D1. I'll have to dig back into that.
Because I thought when we visit the office, that was one of the ghost lines was there were others before.
Yeah,
They weren't specific about when.
Yeah, we know that there were other speakers during the Golden Age and during the collapse and during the Dark Age and all that. But as far as the speaker of the last city, we know that Ephrodite was the large reason that the speaker came to the city. She was the one that convinced him to come and help out, basically. And then when he came and that whole situation happened, I would make the argument that I think that my understanding was that as soon as the consensus was created, that is the speaker that we have. That's the only speaker that has held that position. There were other speakers because we have this speaker that we had. The speaker that was in the city was not the one that invented the mask that allows them to hear the traveler. That was a different speaker. So there are other speakers, but not. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah, there's other speakers, but not the one that we encounter.
Correct. Yeah, there's none. Yeah, dinos. Yeah, there none that held the consensus office. So none other than the one that we have seen in game was quote speaker of the last city. There's only been one speaker of the city. There have been multiple speakers though in the past, because that was what pretty much Constellations was all about, was the different stories of all those different speakers.
Is super disturbing to read again right now, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, you also start when you read it with trials and tribulations.
Not only that, just the whole collapse.
Oh yeah,
the second.
Yeah.
Gosh darn.
Oh yeah. No. Okay, now I'm following you. Yes, that's accurate. So you guys think topic out?
I think we're good. I think so. Do
this
we
is
think
this is
they're
a good
going
one.
to create a new? Yeah, it's one that's more broad than our normal topics, which I like.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? Do you think we're gonna?
Well, just the final thing. Do you think we're gonna get a new Hunter Vanguard? I think we kind of answered that. Probably not. Do we think the Vanguard's going to disappear? No. But do we think that the duties of the Vanguard are going to be different than they were originally intended? Yes.
Yeah, I would say that I would be very surprised to see the archetype that the Vanguard fills disappear. Now, whether or not the Vanguard itself disappears, I'm definitely more open to seeing that happen.
Yeah, I almost feel like, if anything, a more likely thing would be for it to splinter into separate groups instead of being just centralized around leaders. Like, like the Warlocks would go off and just stay the intelligence unit that they are. And the Titans go off and sort of just stay that the military and protective unit, and Hunters continue being supportive in terms of scouting and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think the Vanguard's gonna continue in any way, shape, or form from what it was. I don't think it can anymore. It has to sort of change in order to figure out what new position it needs to fill.
I agree. Blue, can you pull out of Q?
Yes.
Q. And I think we should wrap up.
Definitely. So shout outs for the advanced session. Cam, what do you got for us?
I saw this very briefly on Twitter. Shout outs to Raz, who had a clean scan and has I think she had made
cancer free.
Yep, she's cancer free. I know she had made an announcement prior to this, but I'm very glad and happy to hear that you are cancer-free. So congratulations on that. And once again, shout out to you guys for allowing me to be a part of the show and talk about this.
Absolutely. So shout outs for me is a shout out to every person out there. I had a really interesting interaction on Twitter yesterday. Wasn't a public one. It was one I had seen somebody mention that they were having a really, really rough time. And I reached out via DMs. And it's something that has happened for me during this whole crisis that's going on, because mental health right now is just, everybody's got bad days, everybody's got good days, and there are not enough mental health professionals to be able to be everywhere at once. So if you see somebody online having a really rough time, saying that their depression is really hitting them, reach out to them, talk to them, even if it's just something very, very benign, being like, hey, how you doing? I saw this. If you need help, I know, like, Guardians of Mental Health is a great organization, and I directed this individual particular to that. But be kind of a vigilant person out there right now, because there are a lot of people that can slip through the cracks, especially when there's not a whole lot of physical interaction or personal interaction going on, and it's all digital. So be very, very vigilant, because those kind of people will make another people's day as well as beyond that sometimes. So shout out for those heroes out there who are reaching out to people who are having a tough time. Blue?
I want to give a big shout out and congratulations to a really good friend of ours, Orchid, for getting affiliate. She got affiliate status over on Twitch, I believe, a couple days ago. So
Yep.
Really big shout out for her on that. That's a huge thing. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but for those who are doing streaming and doing that type of stuff, it's a really big deal. And I really want to give her a big congratulations on that. Also, I want to say, we are still looking for transcribers or people willing to put notes on dialogue that I am building out for the Lore Network's website. So if you have any interest in doing that, we have a pretty good structure that I have to collect the stuff. So I'm really looking for people to help with organizing the different tags that we're going to be putting on them. And then also, if you have any notes or thoughts on the various dialogue quotes, we're collecting those. And also, as I feel like it's silly, but I want to make sure I say this, that all credit will be given to whoever. So if you do have a dialogue, or you can confirm something, or if you have notes, don't worry about us like not giving you credit. That's going to be very explicitly stated on the pages, because with the new structure, I actually can more prominently call out the contributors who are helping us with that project, which is one of the reasons I pushed to kind of get that redesign done. So yeah, if you have any interest and you're stuck at home for a Black Swan event of any type of particular nature, I'm not going to name any names, but if you have free time and you want something to do, let me know, because I would love the help. But other than that, I don't really have anything else. So I just want to say thank you for your time. And until next time, remember, with wisdom we conquer. Stand strong, stand tall, stand strong, and keep exploring. I completely butchered that.
It's okay.
Goodbye.
We forgive you.
Bye.
Oh my gosh. So the dialogue, I'm still annoyed by trying to categorize Shaq's dialogue.
Yeah.
Because it's like, dust yourselves off. There's no shame in being knocked down.
That's what I would say miscellaneous. Like I would say
that's what I did.
Just
I would
idle.
miscellaneous idle dialogue. I've only ever been able to like tag it specifically into places when it has like fallen or tangled shore or places like that. Thank you for the bits, Wicked.
Wicked, I got Tolan organized. What I will say though is if you have, so this is me kind of responding to it. Even if I've already put them up, so Tolan's already up in the new format. However, that being said, I am always happy if there is a particular dialogue that someone wants to add notes to, add thoughts, opinions, translation. There's like with Tolan, there's a lot of references to Dante, and Dante's Inferno and all that. Paradise Lost is another one that he likes quoting. If you want to take that and run with it, by all means, please let me know, because I will build you a page for you to put your notes on. I already have some for Toland, but I am not going to turn down additional information or thoughts or clarification, because there's some really cool nuggets within, like, even Toland, like as kind of batshit insane as he is, like there's some really cool nuggets within his dialogue. What was that, Green?
I was just gonna. Raz is also asking.
Yeah,
if she could help.
She just pinged me. Yep, perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, like I don't know how much help I can give, but I'd be happy.
No,
to help.
I mean that's the thing is like any help. That's where I kind of I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't know, I don't want to trouble you. I'm like, no, you don't understand, because it is such an immense undertaking that literally you being like, hey, I think this one is cool. That is immensely helpful. That's what I was telling Green this the other night, was I'm like, I don't have a problem like scraping the files and creating the code and doing all that, but when I get all done with it and I have this massive spreadsheet of just like unorganized mess, I'm like, it is, for my brain, it is so daunting to try to ascribe tags to stuff that I've spent hours collecting, because it's like, oh my god, I have to reread all this, and like I don't know why, but my brain just shuts down at that point.
Oh yeah.
You've seen what I like. If you go to the Lord Shaxx tab, Cam, you see columns D and E are the ones that we're really focusing on, and if it's like a Crucible one, I add like Blue added another column to like kind of whittle it down even more, but it's just putting them into categories. So Blue, when he puts them on the website, they're automatically segregated. That's taking
if you go
much time.
Orchid promised that she was going to help.
Yeah, there's I've been working on Shaxx ones.
Shaxx is the one that I'm
beating
oh
my
god,
head
the
against the wall
Hellmouth,
with.
the Hellmouth Fallen. God, that connection is. But no, so like if you go, hang on real quick. So with Toland is, you know what? Let me do this.
Oh, should I have stopped my recording? I just realized.
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
Okay.
And then from there, you'll go to File, Export.
Okay.
Export it as a WAV file if you can. It depends on how good your PC is. If your PC is older and not super like high end or anything like that, it might be easier to export as an MP3, just because it's a smaller file size. But if you have a fairly doesn't have to be a gaming computer or anything, but a newer one.
I'm recording on my gaming PC, so
nice.
It should work.
Yeah, you should be fine. WAV file would be wonderful, and then I'll go scroll through all the things, because Blue likes to put the drop link early.
Yeah, it's up like.
Yeah, I'll put it in again. There it is again.
Okay.
Sweet. So Blue, you'd be proud of me.
Orchid promise. Orchid gets harassed by Blue. This is true. This is why I like her. I love her.
And by harassed, meaning Blue sends photos, and then at the end of sending a bunch of photos, then says something about doing the thing. I'm familiar with this tactic.
I help because I love you.
So like if you look here, what I did was, so like these are the different stuff that we have. And then on the site, I put this up on the stream so people can see what I'm talking about. You'll see here, like, these are different dialogues that we have. And so all of the black boxes right now, I don't have any, like, additional notes on. So there's all that. But then, like, there are a few. Hang on real quick. Might be under miscellaneous dialogue. I can never remember.
Every time.
So like this one, it's like, you know, here what I did was we have a completely separate page that apparently the link is broken on, so I have to work on that. But what that'll do is it'll take you to a separate page where that quote is. Did I break all my links on accident? I broke all my links. Awesome. But anyway, so that'll take you to a page that will have a separate, more robust layout of the notes and stuff like that. So there's a couple where he quotes like Paradise Lost, and it's like, you know, this is there's one where he quotes in the Aeneid.
Sort of just kind of explaining and giving like background context about
right
what he's saying, why he's saying it.
Yep.
And everything. Okay.
Now I have to go and fix my links. I don't know why that's broken, but basically we have them all stored here, and so what we're working on right now, I have all the tower announcements from Destiny 1. We have all those done. We have Tolan done. We're working on Shaxx, and then I'm not sure who we're going to do after Shaxx, to be honest. I think we had a couple people ask what is going on? Oh. She's lying.
What, the dogs or the cosplay
I have no idea what. Yeah, as Blue suddenly sees chat. All right, whatever. I don't even know what I'm getting in trouble. I'm getting in trouble for something, and I don't even know what I'm getting in trouble for. But like with the tower announcements, we did a similar thing, but you know, there's not as much. Let me see if this link is going to work. Haha, it works. So what we did here is, so we have additional notes and thoughts, you know, the quote itself and all that.
Okay.
But yeah, so, and then that's, anytime you see one of these buttons, that's what that's kind of indicating. Where you'll notice like a bunch of these are not going to have notes because, to be honest, I was so busy just trying to get them. But like here we have like the Travelers, you know, it's talking about the zenith, and so what I did was I collected all the quotes there, and then I put, you know, hey, in astronomy the zenith is, you know, this. Just not, that's what I mean, is like additional notes and thoughts. I'm not looking for like, oh, you know, like it doesn't have to be anything like mind-blowing. It's just like maybe there's a term used that has, you know, an interesting connection to something else. Cool.
Like they could be talking about this.
Right.
Or the
Raz, nod and smile, Blue. That's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm getting into trouble for in chat, so I'm just ignoring chat right now.
Let's stay here and eat my popcorn.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's the thing is, like, you know, we have, and then the great one is like the miscellaneous and the humorous ones, which the Tower PSA had some great ones. You are a great guardian, and your mom is a classy lady.
Your mom is a classy lady.
The amusement sphere is for recreational use only.
That one bugs me. That one bugs me a lot. Like, are they using it as a workout tool?
Yes.
I'm
sure.
hoping
yes. That's yes.
There's some
we're calling it
sexual after dark style.
Yes, workout. 100%.
You know, just like Chioma used to bench press Maya, then.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if Chioma
is that
used
a pony?
bench press with me.
Burn those calories.
Amusement.
Oh my gosh.
Here's a question to bring up an old topic. Does Shaxx go in there to relive his glory days of reciting the Tempest?
You know?
I actually have a quote about that, and it's really
Is
funny.
there?
Yeah, there is. Let me see. Where did?
What I mean to say is that her brother was a goon, but she was once my crimson bond.
Yeah.
On the day she asked me to read for her, I told her, "No one tells me what to do." And I recited The Tempest from memory. All 5 acts. She didn't blink. I think she was trying to put me off.
I'm like,
yeah,
this is a completely different translation of the invent from what the community thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some good ones in here. Shack, and the other thing is like with Shacks, it's like there are so many just like, ah! And I'm like, I'm not quoting you on this. I'm not quoting you on that. Like I am going to censor those because otherwise we would have fight. I think when I looked at the files, it was like there's 1,500 voice lines. I'm like, no.
How many times did he have to sit in the recording booth and scream into the microphone?
Oh my god! Like it's just like
just hours of screaming.
Like, Jesus! Yeah, here it is.
Like what would the note you'd even just put there? Shax is excited that you've killed several people in a row.
Yeah, no, like there's one there. It's like where is it? There's one where the quote itself is hilarious, and I wish I could figure out a way to have like I mean I know I could probably figure out a way to do it, but I wish there was be an easy way to like link the actual audio on some of these, because there's one where he's like he's complimenting you, but then like halfway through the compliment he like stops and he's like and I was like, what just happened? Like what just, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so disturbing. Like I know
what quote that is.
It's the shuddering breath. Yeah.
Right. You get that quote when you do 50 kills.
Oh, okay. Oh my god, it was just like I was listening to him. I was listening to him, and I was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Shax just screamed his pants. It's fine.
It's like,
Shax is resetting. Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh god, the one where I've been watching too many Crucible matches is still also one of my favorite one.
Oh, I just saw this one too. One of my favorite. You got second. Good. Justice Zavala's second to me.
Yes. The freaking Crimson Day ones. It's like, well then. Shax knows how to pitch and catch.
No one can best his Fist of Havoc except me. Like,
oh yeah, you remind me of Lady Aphrodite myself.
Oh my god, yes.
She likes to throw titans, and some titans like to be thrown.
That I love. It's like, Saladin.
What?
Saladin's the ones immediately after. It's just like, that's what I'm like. I messaged Green. I was like, so I have a question about Shax and his allegiances. Like, what is...
Shax is equal opportunist.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like he minds catching or pitching. It's fine.
He only cares about the KD. That's all he cares about.
All he knows is that relationships
as long as everybody finishes together.
Relationships are complex, or at least so I'm told.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Shax is he doesn't do relationships.
No, he doesn't.
Kind of guy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and I am the cruiser. It's like, oh god.
Mm-hmm. I bet he had so much fun reading that line in particular, because he's a Shakespearean actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a couple that I remember him, and the best part about that whole thing is that I think it's Lenny. He's not a gamer. Like he doesn't. So like, whereas like Lance Zavala's voice actor plays a warlock, which is hilarious. So he like plays it, but like Lenny was saying in one of the interviews, he was like, he says that his son is a really big PvP player in Destiny, and he's like, it's very disconcerting to hear yourself in another room when you're not in
there. That's awesome. I like it.
Yeah, there's I would tear a Vex heart out with my teeth. I've been watching too many Crucible matches.
Crucible of Lord Shaxx will prepare you. In my arena, should a Titan stand in your way, crush him. If a hunter confronts you, break her blade. If a warlock speaks, feed him his words. There's only one path to victory.
Oh, another favorite. You can't fight when you're tense, Guardian. What's wrong with you? Relax. Relax. I said relax. What do you mean you can't concentrate when I'm yelling? Relax.
I want to see.
I put the bold tags on that because I was like, this just has to be. This just has to be emphasized because it's just so funny.
Postmaster's out of space.
Oh my god. So yes.
Season of the Postmaster is what I would call this season because fuck all the blues.
100%.
Oh my god.
I wish there was a way to just auto dismantle them.
I know. But if we auto dismantled them, then we wouldn't actually be getting anything from our events.
Honestly, at this point, just give me the weapon parts and legendary shards every once in a while. I'll take that.
My ghost hates it, but I get exploded all the time. You'll come back from this. That's a countdown line.
I love that one.
I want to meet Shaxx's ghost. The horror stories that ghost must have. Because for some reason, I picture Shaxx's ghost as just this like timid, shy ghost.
He's got PTSD from just dealing with Shaxx.
Jay, I found the quote that you were talking about earlier. Oh my, this is beautiful.
Oh yeah, this. It's like, oh my god. Oh yeah, Z's talking about the Overwatch actors. They'll play Overwatch, but they'll jump into comms and they will talk as their characters on the chat.
Which is
Matt Mercer does it, and he does the high noon thing, and everyone freaks out.
I love it.
I saw one with Junkrat. With Junkrat's voice actor.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that was a lot of fun, just because it was just nothing but crazy laughter.
The Lucio, that's awesome. The Lucio guy has done it too.
They put your back against the wall. You tore that bloody wall down and beat them to death with it. Like Shaxx just has no chill. He's like, I've been there, I've seen it all, I've done half of it, dude. Like. I'm here. He is the epitome of just like Kris Jenner with a phone, with a camera phone going, "You're doing great, sweetie.
You're doing great, hon."
Just sitting there going, "Hit him harder. He's still getting up."
There's also the one where you looked death in the eye and ripped his arm off and beat him to death with it. You're disgusting. Keep it up. I was like, what just happened?
Like, there's such, like, sometimes it's just... Where are the other, do you have the ones that are just like him going, what? What?
No, I mean, I have them, but I didn't put them on there because I was like, That'd
just be way too much.
I'm like, it was like, there's 50 watts of different variations, and I don't know what you want from me.
Intensity 2.5?
Yeah. Why did I have to pick the one that thinks dying is a competition? It's Shaxx's ghost.
Do we have a lot of information about Shaxx's time as a warlord, other than he wasn't absolutely terrible?
We have
he was
entry
really
about Fellwinter and him.
He was really good at punching people in the face.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's the Fellwinter one was really the only thing that I can remember.
I almost wonder if he just like was secretly not like secretly running, but if he was just kind of running versions of the Crucible beforehand, was just like, no, we fight. We have an arena. You're gonna kill some people. You have fun. Oh, like, the other warlords come over, they're like, dude, I need to blow off some steam. You would not believe what Felwinter said to me.
He just curls up with a good book, crosses his legs, and starts sipping out of a cocktail.
Proceed.
You would not believe what happened
Proceed.
today. Felwinter showed up.
I want to see that. I would love to see some of, like, Ikora, like, young Ikora in the Crucible.
She's still taught,
so
like, she's
get,
still said to be the most winningest. Like,
we did get confirmation that Ikora was around, Ikora had defeated Shaxx before Shaxx was no longer a warlord. So that whole event with Shaxx and Ikora is, if it did happen in the Crucible, that was a repeat of an earlier event, basically, which is very disturbing for a lot of different reasons.
I feel like in the video of Uldren coming back to the tower, like, Zavala would try and stop Ikora, and Shaxx would be like, "Trust me, dude, I've been there. You do not, you cannot handle it. Like, just don't let her get it out. She needs to get it out of her system. She's gonna be fine."
I just want to see her get really angry and just go to town, because the only thing she's done so far is blow up the Cabal ship.
Yeah, but she's got a nice Nova bomb. Let me see her use it.
She's got nice Nova bombs, that's for
just
sure.
have an image of Ikora punching Shaxx in the face with his own hand. Stop punching yourself. Stop punching yourself.
Stop punching yourself.
Oh.
I'm not. Liar. Liar, Black Flag. Everybody's horny on Maine right now. Isn't that how it goes?
That's been coronavirus. That's been this community for the last, like, 3 weeks. It's just everyone.
3 weeks, last 6 months, but sure.
Oh, hi, puppy.
Then she jumped on the ship. She totally did jump on the ship.
Rode it off into whatever oblivion she had.
Oh yeah, reading the other Guardians' accounts of that event, though, were even better than the actual cutscene. I was like, did you see that? It's like, oh man.
What, Ikora's thing?
No.
Yeah, because there was a entry where one of the Guardians mentions Ikora doing that, and it's like, oh, even the other Guardians are like, nope, don't go near her. She's mad.
She's probably one of those scary people that
No, go for it. Your start of that just makes me think of a dialogue from Destiny 1, but go for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she makes a comment like, "I'm not going to turn you into a frog."
Sometimes you wonder.
It's like, right.
She may not turn you into a frog, but she'll turn you into frog food.
She'll turn you inside out.
Ugh.
I don't know if that's worse or better, but
depending on the context,
yeah,
maybe.
That's true.
I feel like Ikora is the one Guardian that just about everyone would truly be terrified of and refuse to play if she stepped into Crucible again.
Yeah, it's like, who's stepping in? Nope, I'm good.
It's just like you just get like the challenger approaches from Smash Brothers. Ikora appears and everyone's like, nope, I'm out.
Bye.
There's something on Titan I need to take care of. Bye.
It would be PvPv Ikora.
It would be. Literally 1 versus 100, and it's not even fair.
I pitch screaming and running.
All the hunters just hide.
Yeah, the Crucible just goes silent.
Yeah, I think she would be the one I'd be afraid of if I ever ran into her in Crucible. Way more than any other ones.
I'd fight Saint before I'd fight Ikora. Yeah, because Saint would at least follow rules. I don't think Ikora would. Ikora versus the other 11 players in the lobby.
Not even fair. There, that's the ultimate end of the Destiny series raid. Every hunter, every Vanguard, or every not Guardian available versus Ikora in one round of Crucible. Go.
This looks like some terrible Fortnite match, and all the Guardians are just running after her.
And she's just standing there like she just cracks her neck and says, "All right, let's do this."
And then Nova warps the crap out of everybody, zipping by.
Yep, it just cuts over to Shaq standing over on a distant hill, and all you see is just explosions reflected on his visor.
It's just like
he's just like, I tried to tell them.
I don't even
my
feel
goodness.
bad.
Well, Z.
More high-pitched screaming. That's the secret of why she has nothing in the tower, nothing to do in the tower. I've done shit. I've seen shit. I will kick your ass. Don't make me hand out bounties.
I'm done.
That voice actress, what is it?
Gina Torres?
Gina. She's she has her own show now, doesn't she?
Oh, she's from Firefly.
Yeah. Right, I know, but she's also the main character of a show that I think is actually having corona problems.
Oh.
Not like they're sick or anything, but the episodes are stalled out because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know there was I think it's Blacklist. They said they're continuing the show via animation because
she
of
was
the
in
coronavirus.
Westworld for a little while.
She was in Suits, and I think she got her own spin-off. Pearson.
Hating Game, The Brides.
Because that's what I knew her from, was Suits.
I just like how it was noted. It was noted by, I think it was Christine Thompson, that they're just trying to collect all the Firefly actors.
I mean, I would not be opposed to it.
Not at all.
They have 3.
Yes.
I have yet to see Firefly, and I need to. I know. I'm a bad nerd.
No, it's not that you're a bad nerd. It's just, it's one of those things. It's like,
I don't know if I go that far.
I honestly think that every person, if they've never seen Firefly, should start with Out of Gas, even though it's not the first episode. Do you remember that episode, Blue?
Which?
Out of Gas is the introductions to how everybody got together.
Oh, yeah. That would make sense too. Yeah, because I think that's a pretty ship.
I think that is the best episode to start.
Yeah, the annoying thing with Firefly was just the way that Fox just tore it apart. Yeah, tore it apart before it even got off the ground.
I think that Cam, that you would love. God, now I can't think of her name. The mechanic.
Oh, Kaylee?
Yeah.
Strawberries.
I just
she is one of those characters that's like perfectly innocent, and then she'll say something and you're like, wait, what? Hang on, go back. What did you just say? Like, that is not appropriate for your character.
You remember how she's introduced, right?
Yes. That's what I mean. It's like why?
Oh, Daily Motion has it. There you go. I wonder if it's an actual full thing.
Because was it... I'm trying to remember when you actually saw... Was it Out of Gas that you actually saw how she got on the crew?
Yes, that's how you see how everybody got on the crew.
Okay.
And when you... The very opening scene
that entire scene makes her character make a lot more sense, but it's also hilarious because if you haven't seen that scene and you get introduced to her, it's such a juxtaposition of like what you see and what she says.
Yeah. Let's see. It looks like Daily Motion has it. It's not the best quality. But if you wanted to watch it, it's available there. This, I wonder if I could skip ahead to just Kaylee's part. Like Kaylee being there and Night Orchid.
I'm gonna call stream off. Stream, you guys have a great night. We will talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye everyone.